Alright, you and I are about to watch a powerful general lose his greatest son over a massive, greedy lie. I walked away from $1 billion fortune, and my family is clueless. They only want one thing for me to hand my military honors to my brother. Was my future as the eldest son of the May family really that cheap to them? But what they did not know was I am currently the Marshal of the Empire. Could a pampered kid like my useless brother actually handle the weight of these medals? Simon May sat at the head of the table, finally breaking his silence as he glared at me. He asked about my plans now that I am back. I told him I am handling personal business before heading back to the military zone. Simon frowned and told me not to go back yet. Since I am home, he wants me to stay here with the family. I was confused until he dropped the real reason. My younger brother is about to take the big military exam. He needs battle achievements to be promoted to major. I looked him in the eye and asked, so what does that mean for me? How does that affect my return to the army? Simon looked at me, clearly annoyed by my attitude. He ordered me to give all my hard-earned merits to my brother. Then, I could go be a worker at my mother's company. Here is the part you and I need to watch closely. His parents are about to show their true, ugly colors for the first time. Vivien May snorted, mocking me. She said I would probably just be a security guard since my military training only taught me how to use my muscles. My brother, Bradley, laughed along with her, clearly enjoying the silence of my supposed final defeat. Simon May spoke again. He claimed that despite my service record, my martial talent was pathetic compared to his gifted younger son, Bradley. If I hand over my medals, he can join the 10 great armies and secure our family's future. This move would secure the May family's status in Northbrook. Hearing this nonsense, I just burst out laughing with pure sarcasm. With my current rank, even this useless father of mine would have to salute me. Would he actually dare to accept my salute? My eyes went cold. Give him my merits? No way. I already risked my life enlisting in his place 3 years ago. Simon was genuinely shocked by the coldness in my tone. He never expected anyone in this whole province to defy him, especially not his own son. He recovered quickly, letting out a smile full of nothing but pure scorn for me. He told me serving for a few years did not give me the right to lead my own life. If he had not saved me from the slums 10 years ago, I would be dead. He admitted my only purpose was to serve as a stepping stone. He gave me everything, and he can take it all away. Okay, I know what you are thinking. And yeah, it gets even crazier from this point on. I always wondered why the original owner of this body fought so hard for their love. It turns out I did not even grow up with these people. I felt the heavy chains on my heart finally snap as my whole body became relaxed. I told him coldly that I finally saw his entire twisted plan. Simon did not answer, but the veins on his forehead were popping. His expression was dangerously dark. He never expected his obedient son to rebel like this. He barked at me to just hand the merits over to my brother. He claimed that when Bradley takes over Northbrook, he will take care of me. Plus, once he joins the 10 great armies, his future will be endless. He might even become a martial saint one day. As his brother, I should be proud. He decided the matter was settled. I ignored him and turned to my mother, Lily. I asked her coldly if she agreed with this. She stayed silent for a long moment before finally saying that while it was unfair, I had to obey for the family. She said that if I gave up my medals, they promised to compensate me well. I just nodded calmly and told them that from this moment on, I have absolutely no relationship with this entire cursed family. Simon slammed the table and screamed at me for my rebellious words. As he stood up, a massive and powerful aura exploded from his body. He lunged at me with a palm strike at the peak Grandmaster level, but I dodged it like it was nothing. He was shocked that a Grandmaster could not even touch me. He gasped, wondering how I did it, but I did not give him any time to think. I turned and walked away. The debt for bringing me into this family was paid in full 3 years ago. From today, we are strangers. Simon watched me leave with killing intent in his eyes, his voice turning as cold as ice. He shouted that without the May family name, I was absolutely nothing. Lily just watched me go with a very strange and deeply indescribable emotion within her eyes. She felt like she was losing her son forever. Simon ignored her and turned his cold attention toward both Bradley and Vivien instead. He forbade them from helping me behind his back, and they both nodded their heads in a hurry. Bradley cautiously asked about the military merits, and Simon told him not to worry about those stolen achievements for even a second. He claimed those merits belonged to Bradley anyway. 3 years ago, he had personally put his favorite son's name on the official Imperial military enlistment list himself. The plan was to stack up merits so Bradley could return and take over as the commander-in-chief. He was too scared to send his precious son to war, so he made me take his place. Trust me, he will regret it. Alright, you and I are about to witness one of the most insane identity swaps in Manhwa history. Simon May grins at his golden boy, completely unaware he is backing the wrong son for the academy. To him, the real soldier is just a rebel, while this fraud is the future of their family. The fake Bradley heads off to practice, riding high on lies he did not even earn. Simon does not waste a second, ordering a massive celebration banquet to honor his precious heir. He's announcing a major promotion while the actual hero walks away, finally feeling free. 3 years in this world, and the original owner's trauma finally stops weighing him down. Seeing his parents' true faces was the key. Now, that emotional cage is officially shattered. Now, pay attention here, because this one phone call is about to change the entire game. It is General Harrison calling, a man who commands elite armies just like our main character. The general asks if he has visited home yet. Our hero keeps it brief. He is done. He addresses Harrison with respect, making the old veteran let out a loud, booming laugh. Harrison tells him to drop the formalities. In the military, they are equals and true brothers. Back on the front lines, Harrison was the only one who truly invested in his potential. The general gets straight to the point. He has arranged a secret meeting with the Turner family. They once saved a powerful grandmaster and are now ready to help with our hero's condition. He prepares to leave immediately, but the general senses something is very off with his tone. Harrison asks if his father is causing trouble. Our lead just shakes his head in silence. The general warns him not to be ungrateful. He has put massive capital on the line. In Harrison's eyes, this young man is a potential saint, a god in the making. For 3 years, the entire Eastern Zone's resources went into making him an absolute monster. You and I both know the general is right. This level of power is never free. Back at headquarters, the general hangs up, his heroic face twisted into a mask of pure rage. He bellows for his assistant, Vincent, as his eyes flare with a literal fire of anger. Vincent enters trembling, nearly jumping out of his skin as the general slams down a file. He finally realizes his top soldier is the second son of that pathetic family in Northbrook. Vincent panics, swearing he had no idea the soldier was hiding such a complicated past. Harrison sneers, "That old man Simon is trying to steal a soldier the military built." He stands up, ready for war. He is heading to Northbrook to reclaim what is his. He will get his man back or burn their resources to the ground. No more games. Meanwhile, our hero waits calmly by the road, unaware of the storm brewing at headquarters. He does not care about the name anymore. He is just waiting for his ride. A sleek black sedan pulls up, and a stunning, elegant girl steps out to greet him. She is shocked. The legendary general in front of her looks barely 20 years old. A general at this age? It is unheard of. She quickly composes herself and bows low. Her name is Jessica, a disciple of the great Master Turner, sent as his escort. The Turner family is famous, but even they are honored to treat a man this powerful. The main character climbs in. If he fixes his body, he is leaving this city forever. The car reaches a massive gate. For now, he just needs one night of rest. Jessica offers him a room, promising her grandfather will arrive first thing in the morning. He thanks her politely, leaving the girl surprised by how humble a legend can be. He washes up and falls into a deep sleep, but the city outside is already exploding. News spreads like wildfire. The May family is celebrating their young major with a massive banquet. A 20-year-old major? It is a bombshell that has the entire province talking. But you and I know the real storm is just getting started. Do not blink. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where a legendary war hero is suddenly treated like a total nobody. As the commander listens to the reports, his face twists in anger. Why on earth is Bradley being demoted to a major? The officer delivering the news looks just as frustrated. This is not a rumor. He even specifically sent scouts to the May family to confirm it. This demotion is officially happening. General Harrison is completely baffled. Bradley was a general. How does a top-tier officer just get stripped of his rank like that? He stops thinking and turns to his assistant with fire in his eyes. Get the transport ready immediately. I am going to Northbrook right now. At this point, I had no clue about the storm the May family was cooking up behind my back. After a quick wash, I sit down for breakfast, but the peace does not last long. Jessica walks in with a white-haired elder General May. My master Arthur Turner has arrived. I jump to my feet and greet him with total respect. Master Turner, you are here quite early this morning. Arthur Turner just smiles and gives me a casual wave of his hand. Relax. Young friend, you are being too polite. Since General Harrison personally asked for my help, how could an old man like me ever say no? I smile and lead him inside. Please, take a seat, sir. Arthur Turner settles onto the sofa and looks me over with a sharp gaze. Young man, give me your hand so I can check your pulse. I nod and hold out my right hand. A second later, shock flashes across his face. You are lucky, very lucky to even be breathing right now, he tells me. If that poison had reached your heart, you would be a dead man. I look him in the eye and ask Master, is there any way to wipe this toxin out for good? Arthur Turner nods. Yes, but this injury is 2 weeks old and the poison is deep. It is going to take at least 10 days of treatment to fully clear it. I finally let out a breath I did not know I was holding. Thank you, Master, I am in your debt. He just smiles, a strange light dancing in his old eyes. Do not thank me yet, I never work for free. I tell him that is only fair. Master, just say the word if it is within my power. Consider it done. He sighs, looking suddenly worried. You should know that the Turner family is famous for medicine and martial arts. but we have a major problem right now. We have plenty of friends in high places, but that is all just borrowed strength. At the end of the day, relying on outsiders is never a real solution. I get exactly what he is hinting at. Master, rest easy if the Turner family ever faces trouble in the future. I promise I will not just stand by and watch. He laughs loudly, but then his expression shifts as he shakes his head. Like I said, relying on others is not a long-term plan for survival. I sit up straighter, totally confused by where he is going with this. Then what exactly are you asking of me, Master Turner? Now pay attention, this is where the old man drops a proposal you and I definitely did not see coming. He says his granddaughter is your age and he wants you as his son-in-law. I am completely stunned. Is he seriously asking me to marry into his family? I think about my messy life and can only give him a bitter, forced smile. Master, I am just a rough soldier who grew up swinging swords. Even if you want this, I doubt your granddaughter would ever agree to marry someone like me. Besides, I already have an arranged marriage waiting for me. I decline as fast as I can. This engagement was actually set up by Simon May years ago. Even though I have never actually met the girl, the memory is burned into my mind. I see a flash of real disappointment in Arthur Turner's eyes. I see, so that is how it is. In our world, marriages between elite martial families are just business deals to keep the strongest bloodlines going. Turner knows he cannot push any further, so he gives me a few medical instructions and gets ready to head out. I thank him for being so understanding. I feel a huge weight lift off my shoulders as I walk him to the door. Suddenly, a butler runs up. The young lady of the Stone family is here for Michael May. Turner's eyebrows shoot up. Michael May? Isn't that the eldest son who was kicked out? Why on earth is she looking for him in my house? The butler has no clue. Turner waves him off and tells him to send her away. Just tell her he is not here. But I step forward and stop him. Wait, Master, she might actually be looking for me. Arthur Turner is shocked. Why would she want you instead of the famous Bradley May? I just shake my head and smile. It is a long, complicated story. Let her in so we can see what she wants. Simon May has been lying for years. He stole my military achievements and gave them all to Bradley. Even powerful families like the Turners think Bradley is the real hero who enlisted years ago. But Bradley cannot even touch my actual rank. Honestly, the May family is about to hit a wall they cannot climb over once the truth comes out. Watch closely, the drama is about to explode. An angry voice screams my name before the girl even enters the hall. A young girl with incredible beauty and a cold, icy stare storms into the hall. Her skin is pale, but her eyes are burning with pure, unfiltered rage. She spots Arthur Turner and quickly offers a polite greeting. Hello, Grandpa Turner. The old man just nods, staying quiet to see how this plays out. I look at her coldly and ask what she wants. From my memories, I know exactly who she is. Samantha Stone, the girl who spent years looking down on me. She used to mock my slum upbringing, saying I was beneath her. She yells, "What business? You actually have the nerve to ask me that after everything?" Samantha keeps screaming, "Do not think you can hide here and force me to marry you." I just look at her and give a calm, steady response. If you are just here to break the engagement, then we are done. You can leave now. And do not worry, I am not going to beg you to stay. Samantha freezes in her tracks. She clearly expected me to be the same pathetic man who was obsessed with her and laughed off her every insult. She had tried to dump me dozens of times before, and I always found a way to stop it. I look at her and ask if she has anything else. Nothing, Samantha stammers, totally lost for words. Deep down, she feels a strange sense of discomfort she cannot explain, but she refuses to show it. She realizes she has lost her cool and sneers. Good, at least you finally know your place. Saves me the trouble of dealing with a loser like you. She turns and storms out, but Arthur Turner is standing right next to me, grinning like he just won the lottery. This is perfect for him. So what do you and I take from this? Sometimes losing an engagement is the biggest win of all. Turner is overjoyed because now his granddaughter has a real chance. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch a legendary revenge story unfold as Michael finally makes his move. Master Turner is practically begging Michael to marry into his family, but Michael is just trying to find a clever way out. He plays it cool, telling the old man they should at least see what the girl thinks before they make things official. Turner just laughs it off, deciding they will meet as soon as she returns from the elite Holy Martial Academy in the capital. He believes love takes time. Meanwhile, Samantha Stone is eavesdropping from the shadows. She is losing her mind. Why would a legendary master want his precious daughter to marry a piece of trash like Michael? She can't help herself and turns back, determined to warn Master Turner before he makes a massive mistake with his legacy. She warns him that Bradley is the only true heir and that Michael is just a fraud trying to trick his way into power. Instead of thanking her, Turner's face goes dark. He is not letting some brat tell him how to run his own house. He screams at her to get lost. Samantha flinches, completely confused why her warning backfired so miserably on her. Terrified of his power, she bolts from the estate as fast as she can. Turner is way too powerful for her family to provoke. Once she is safe, her face twists with pure, concentrated rage. She grits her teeth, swearing that Michael won't be acting this smug for much longer. Now watch closely, she is banking on the May family celebration in 3 days to finally destroy him. Samantha vanishes, leaving Turner to get back to preparing his special medicine. News of the banquet reaches Michael, and he can only sigh at his father's pathetic schemes. 3 years ago, Simon used a secret identity swap to force Michael into the monster-infested war zones, and now he wants the credit. Michael wonders if his coward brother even has the guts to accept merits he didn't actually earn. 3 days fly by. The entire city is buzzing as luxury cars line the streets toward the May estate. Simon May, the commander-in-chief, is putting his family's massive influence on full display for everyone to see. Every major player in Northbrook is here for this high-stakes event. The grand hall is packed with elite guests today. Simon stands at the head table, announcing that today is all about his heroic son, Bradley. He tells a tall tale about the front lines, the alien beasts, and his duty as a general. He claims Bradley volunteered to face the enemy, painting him as a selfless warrior for the ages. The crowd eats it up, nodding with deep respect for the commander. They see Simon as a pillar of the military for sending his own blood into the heat of battle. But here's where it gets interesting. Let's see how far they will take this massive lie. Simon asks if anyone objects to the promotion. Naturally, the entire hall stands in unanimous support. To them, his 3 years in the war make him qualified. Simon beams with pride. It's official. Bradley is now a major in the military department. Bradley tries to look humble, but inside, he's vibrating with pure ego. He is only 20 years old, already a military major, and about to enter the most prestigious academy in the capital city. Congrats, brother Bradley. Another pillar for our city. Vivien cheers while Bradley pretends to be humble. Bradley plays it modest, but his eyes are screaming with pride. No one his age has done this. Vivien is glowing. Having a brother this powerful makes her feel like royalty too. Simon and his wife look at Bradley like he's their greatest masterpiece. Suddenly, a butler rushes in with a message. The provincial governor has arrived. Simon is stunned, because they aren't exactly close friends. He sent an invite to be polite, never dreaming Richard Lee would actually show up. Lily starts panicking, wondering if the governor is here to stop Bradley's promotion. Simon tries to stay calm, insisting that military business is outside of the governor's control. He stands up to greet him, trying to hide the tension in his chest. You and I both know the governor isn't here for cake. Let's see how this all blows up. Alright, you and I are about to see a massive power play unfold. Just as things get tense, Simon May walks out his front gates and finds Governor Richard Lee waiting with a mysterious young man, Tyler Reed. Simon May gives Tyler a quick look before turning away. Governor Lee, what brings a busy man like you to our humble home today? Richard Lee lets out a loud laugh. I heard your family had a big celebration coming up, so I figured I would join the party. Surely General May welcomes a guest like me? Simon laughs right back, welcoming them as treasures. But as they walk into the main hall, every eye in the room is fixed on them in pure amazement. Watching the two of them chatting so casually, everyone realizes something is off. This visit clearly is not just about Bradley May getting a simple promotion to major. Simon settles into his seat, eyeing the stranger. I cannot help but wonder, who exactly is this young man sitting beside you? Richard explains with a smile that this is his junior from the capital, a young man with the surname Reed. The second Simon hears that name, his brows furrow. He knows Richard's background, and that name carries a terrifying weight. Now, pay attention here. A junior named Reed from the capital can only mean one thing: he is from the legendary Marshall Saint family. The entire room goes silent as the name sinks in. Shock spreads across every face in the hall. They are all guessing the same thing. This kid is part of the most powerful family in the capital. But why would a Marshall Saint family ever visit the Mays? Tyler Reed drops his casual act and stands up. General May, 3 years ago, when the alien beasts invaded and the front lines fell into chaos, you bravely sent your own son to the borders to defend us. That righteous act was truly incredible. I heard your son just returned from the war, so I came to pay my respects during this banquet. I really hope I am not intruding by showing up like this. Tyler's polite tone shocks everyone. This guy is the heir to a Marshall Saint family. A future heir is being this humble to the May family? Simon is completely stunned. He never expected someone like Tyler to show up for this specific reason, but he decides not to overthink his incredible luck. To Simon, these words are the ultimate validation of his noble decision to send his son to the brutal front lines 3 years ago. He smiles proudly. Young Master Reed, protecting our nation and hunting alien beasts is simply a soldier's duty. As a general, how could I just stand by while our nation is in danger? Tyler nods in deep respect, asking where this legendary brother of his is currently. Bradley May cannot contain himself any longer and steps forward. Brother Reed, I am Bradley May. It is an honor. He never dreamed he would ever be on equal footing with someone from a Marshall Saint family. Tyler looks at Bradley, but a flash of surprise crosses his eyes. He has heard the terrifying rumors of a man who killed over 1,000 enemies in a single night, the legendary god of slaughter of the border pass. Okay, let's pause. You and I both know a soldier should have a certain aura, but this guy, he looks fair, soft and pampered like a rich brat. His appearance is fine, but he radiates the vibe of someone who has never struggled. Tyler cannot believe this is the god of slaughter he heard about. Simon nods excitedly, missing the doubt in Tyler's eyes. Even though Tyler has his suspicions, he knows it would be rude to say anything right now. He just smiles politely. So, you are Brother May. I have heard so many great things about your exploits. Bradley happily grabs Tyler's hand, saying he is far behind someone of Tyler's status. Tyler feels strange hearing this. Is this humility or just sarcasm? The god of slaughter, the great general of the East, the youngest general in the entire country? Looking at him, nobody in the nation should be able to surpass him. But both Tyler and Richard Lee start sensing that something is very wrong here. Is this really the legendary great general? Bradley's behavior is too soft, almost frivolous. He looks nothing like the fierce warrior they had both imagined in their heads. Simon watches this and smiles, convinced his decision was right. He believes Bradley is the true heir who will lead the May family to legendary heights. With the governor and a Marshall Saint family here to celebrate, Simon thinks his family's lucky day has finally arrived. The May family is about to be unstoppable. Simon secretly clenches his fists, his heart racing with massive expectations for the future. Suddenly, a harsh voice cuts through the room from the door. Simon May, you really are good at playing these little games, aren't you? I am asking you one thing. Where's Bradley May? A middle-aged man in a military uniform stands at the gate, looking absolutely furious. The guests all gasp in shock. Today was supposed to be the May family's peak of glory with the governor present. Who would dare cause trouble now? But when they look at the newcomer, they are completely stunned. It is the golden epaulets sparkling on his shoulders that give it away. He is a high-ranking officer. It is General Harrison. Simon frowns, asking why he left the military zone to come all the way to Northbrook today. General Harrison sneers. What do you think? I am here to demand my person back. I will ask you again, where is Bradley May? Bradley May again. Everyone is too shocked to speak. The governor, a Saint family, and now the great general of the East are all looking for him. Simon frowns. General Harrison's sudden appearance makes him realize that something very unusual is happening here today. He sent Bradley to the East years ago, and now the general is calling for him by name. Did his son cause some kind of massive disaster out there? Bradley May cannot help himself. He steps forward proudly, declaring that he is the one they are looking for. He is absolutely loving all this high-level attention from everyone. Having all these big figures show up for him makes the pampered brat even more conceited. General Harrison glares at Bradley, his eyes flashing with a mix of confusion and anger. You claim to be Bradley May? Harrison is about to explode with rage, but when he sees Simon is not stopping the kid, he gets even more suspicious. Richard Lee and Tyler Reed exchange looks. They both realize something is very wrong with this entire situation. So, what do you and I make of this? Is Bradley the real general or a total fraud? Trust me, the truth is about to get very ugly. Stick with me, we are watching a massive fraud get exposed. General Harrison stares at Simon May. You say this is Bradley? Simon nods. What? Any objections? Simon snaps back. Could I mistake my own son? Now that he's back by my side, does that actually bother you, General Harrison? Harrison narrows his eyes and suddenly laughs. Not at all. Since we parted ways at the military zone, you and I haven't seen each other in over 10 years, right? I just dropped by. I didn't expect Bradley May to have grown this big. Simon frowns. Harrison's rapid mood swing is leaving him completely confused, so he asks directly, if it is just a visit, why barge in so angrily? Harrison sneers inwardly. Angry? I actually wanted to beat the hell out of you for this. If I hadn't realized this Bradley was a fake, I would have already turned hostile, but outwardly, he just smiles. It is nothing, Simon. I just feel like it is an injustice for Bradley May. He risked his life on the front lines earning so many merits, yet you only gave him a major rank? At this point, Harrison totally gets it. Simon only promoted this fake Bradley to major because he wanted to keep the lie under control. The fake Bradley feels smug, thinking the general is actually on his side. He breathes a sigh of relief and says modestly, General, being a major is enough. This fake kid is still acting all complacent. I am still young, he says. My experience is insufficient. A major rank is plenty. I will move up slowly. Harrison glances at him, faking surprise. I remember you had 2 sons. Where's the other one? Aren't you going to introduce me to him? That one sentence makes Simon May's face turn dark instantly. That rebellious son was kicked out of the family long ago. Harrison just nods. Is that so? Harrison pretends to be deep in thought, but inwardly he is stunned. Has Simon May actually gone insane? Kicking a general of the military, a future legend, out of the house. Something truly ugly must have happened between those two. Now, pay attention here, Harrison finally figures it out. The monster in the East is not this guy, yet the May family is throwing him a massive celebration banquet today. What kind of game is the May family playing? If he can't find answers here, staying is pointless. Harrison takes a deep breath and puts on a smile. Since that is the case, I won't bother you anymore. We will meet again when there's an opportunity. Simon just replies with total indifference. Then I won't see you out. Harrison nods and walks straight out. Tyler Reed, who had been watching the whole time, hurriedly runs after him. Outside the gates, Tyler calls out, "General Harrison, please wait." Harrison turns around and frowns at the young man. "What do you want?" Tyler steps forward respectfully. "General, I am Tyler Reed from the Reed family back in the capital. I have a few questions. Would you have 2 minutes of your time?" Hearing the name Reed, Harrison immediately thinks of the legendary Marshall Saint family. His face softens up. "Go ahead." Tyler takes a deep breath and asks, "Was the real god of slaughter from the border years ago actually Bradley May?" Harrison sneers. "The name is Bradley May, sure, but it is not that fool currently sitting inside the May family estate." Harrison just sneers. Simon May has clearly gone senile. To kick a future Marshall Saint talent out and find a shallow, frivolous fool like that to replace him? It's pathetic. Tyler Reed is completely stunned. Even though he suspected the truth, hearing the general confirm it is hard to believe. He asks, "Then why didn't you expose the lie just now?" Harrison laughs. "Why should I expose him for Simon May? What does any of this have to do with me? He chased my great general of the East away. Isn't that a good thing for me? You and I see it clearly now. The May family ruined their own future. That hero will have no choice but to return to the East." Harrison sighs. "All right, I have to go find my great general. He enlisted for 3 years and I don't even know the man's real name." Tyler Reed bows and says he won't disturb him any longer. Back in the Grand Hall, the fake Bradley is still the center of attention. His mood is soaring. He feels like he is flying. Sitting in the corner, he lowers his voice and asks Samantha, "Samantha, is the engagement cancellation finally settled?" Samantha remains calm, but shows her gratitude. "It is done. I really have to thank you for this. Without you, I never would have dared to speak to Uncle May." Bradley smiles. "Michael is finished now. He dared to defy their father, after all. It would be weird if Simon didn't agree." His eyes flash as he smiles. "Oh, by the way, I met someone from a Marshall Saint family today. I will introduce you later." Samantha is amazed. "A Marshall Saint family? How on earth do you know people like that?" Bradley waves his hand, acting all relaxed. "Probably because my martial talent is just that outstanding. It probably just startled the capital, that is all." Although he acts humble, the smugness on his face is impossible to hide. Samantha Stone just frowns and keeps her mouth shut. Right then, Tyler Reed walks back in. Bradley hurriedly waves his hand at him. "Brother Reed, over here. Come over here." Tyler hears him and glances over, his eyes turning icy cold in an instant. He ignores him entirely and walks straight to Richard Lee. After listening, Richard Lee looks absolutely shocked. His face turns cold as he says indifferently, "General May, I have other matters to attend to. I will take my leave now." Simon is stunned by the sudden change in Richard's attitude. He pauses, then tells him to go ahead. Bradley also realizes the atmosphere has turned weird, but he has no idea why. He is just confused by the sudden cold shoulder. He asks dissatisfaction, "Brother Reed, what is wrong? I just called you. Why did you act like you couldn't hear me?" Normally, he wouldn't dare talk to a Marshall Saint family like this, but today he honestly thinks he is the main character. He feels completely unstoppable. Tyler just sneers. "Look, Bradley, I simply mistook you for someone else. Stop spouting nonsense before you lose everything. Trust me, you and I are done here. Stick with me, because if you fail, you'll never even dream of entering the capital again for the rest of your life." Bradley May froze instantly, the praise turning to ash as his face darkened in silence. After Richard Lee and Tyler Reed walked out, Samantha Stone prepared to leave as well. She passed him by without a single glance, treating his grand words like a pathetic, meaningless joke. Bradley's heart felt crushed under a massive weight as he watched them go. Meanwhile, at the Turner Villa, I stepped away from the wash basin. As I dressed, my chest scars were already vanishing. Arthur Turner brought out a special sandalwood box, filling the room with a rich, medicinal scent. He said my recovery was insane, clearly the result of a powerful body tempering technique that exceeded even his wildest expectations. I took the box, admitting the speed was fast, but toxins remained. Arthur nodded, explaining this medicine was the final step to clear the poison. "Now watch this." Arthur realized my physique had reached the legendary durable sinews and bones realm, a level that is incredibly rare. He asked about the beast that wounded me, sensing it must have been high level. I just smiled and told him it was no joke. It was a half-step to the Marshall Saint realm. Arthur nearly choked on his tea. A grandmaster killing a half-step saint? That combat power is terrifying. No wonder they call you the god of slaughter. Suddenly, a voice shouted from the door. A military man named General Harrison was outside. Arthur smiled, realizing that despite everything, some people still actually care about me. I stepped out with a bitter smile. When General Harrison saw me, he let out a massive, booming laugh of pure relief. He shouted that he finally found me, thinking I'd never come back. I asked why a high-ranking general would come here personally. He admitted he was worried my father would refuse to let me go. After all, I'm the military's top prospect. You're a Marshall Saint seed. If you didn't return to the Eastern Zone, it would be a massive loss for everyone. He turned serious, asking for the truth about Bradley May. I sighed and told him the whole miserable story of my family's betrayal. Furious, the general slammed his cup down. He couldn't believe any parent could be so biased and blind toward their own son. He asked about my next move. I told him once I'm healed, I'm heading back for the official general's heart evaluation. As for the May family, we're done. No more relations. The general nodded, agreeing it was time to let the past die. Simon May doesn't even have the clearance to see your files. But trust me, I'm reporting this garbage to the military headquarters personally. I just took a sip of tea and stayed silent. My future was finally separated from the family that cast me aside. He mentioned the reward for the evaluation is the True Dragon Wings. It's the key to becoming a legendary True Dragon martial artist. You and I both know he's not missing that. My evaluation target, 6 petals. The general froze, completely losing his mind. A true dragon only needs 5 stars, but I've already cleared 6. Truly, I am the undisputed chief of our military zone. Back at the May Hall, the party was dead after the big shots left. Simon May sat there, frowning in total confusion. The banquet dragged on painfully for another hour. Finally, Simon asked if anyone else found the day's events incredibly strange. Lily agreed. There's no way the governor and a Marshall Saint family showed up just for the May family's minor military rank. And why did they all bolt so fast? It felt like they were only there for one specific person who wasn't Bradley. Lily suddenly gasped, asking if this was all because of Michael. Simon's face twisted as he began to realize his huge mistake. To bring in the governor and a Saint family, Michael is clearly no ordinary soldier. I've underestimated him for 3 long years. Simon sneered, thinking Michael only acted out because he wanted Bradley to steal his hard-earned merits and military status. He realized Michael has serious pull in the military. Lily suggested bringing him home, but Simon's pride wouldn't let him back down. He shouted that bringing him back was a dream. He thinks Michael is just playing mind games to get his attention back. He's convinced Michael only caused a scene to ruin Bradley's big day. The father is still delusional and blinded by his favoritism. Lily was speechless. Simon ranted about his rebellious son, questioning if Michael ever even considered them to be his actual family. He issued secret orders to investigate Michael and find his location. He actually wants to confront his son personally for the insult. Meanwhile, General Harrison headed back to the war zone. The storm was brewing, and the May family was right in its path. Arthur Turner heard the whole story and could only sigh at the absolute audacity of Michael's truly shameless and toxic family. He wondered what Simon's face would look like when he finally discovers Michael's true, godlike identity. It's going to be legendary. Suddenly, people from the May Corporation arrived, trying to hire Arthur for research. They had no idea the bridge was already burned. Arthur didn't even hesitate. He told them to get out and announced that all cooperation with the May family was officially over. At the governor's mansion, Richard Lee and Tyler Reed were still fuming. The humiliation of the banquet was still fresh and stinging. Richard screamed about the disgrace. A governor attending a party for a nobody like Bradley? It was a total, embarrassing disaster. Trust me, you and I are going to love seeing Bradley get what he deserves. He's nothing but a spoiled playboy. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch a family make the biggest mistake ever. Simon May actually kicked a legendary general out like trash. Tyler Reed was fuming. He couldn't stand being called brother by a smug brat like Bradley May. If it wasn't for Simon's reputation, Tyler would have slapped Bradley across the face right then. Richard Lee could only sigh at the tension. Richard asked what Tyler planned to do about the situation. Tyler's mission was simple: find out where that person is hiding immediately. He came to Northbrook specifically for Michael May. Between Michael's true identity and his future, the man's value to the capital is beyond calculation. Richard hesitated for a long time before finally asking about the current situation in the capital. Tyler's face turned grim. Alien tribes are growing stronger, and the elite Marshall Saint families are tearing each other apart for power. The upcoming general evaluation will likely crown the ultimate winner. Richard's eyes sharpened as he processed the news. Now pay attention, Richard asks if that god of slaughter from the east could actually seize power. Just how strong is he? Tyler took a deep breath. He is stronger than you can imagine, with a military status that almost nobody can touch. Richard was stunned. If Michael's status was that high, what was his actual rank? Definitely higher than a 1-star general. A 2-star military chief? Richard felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He didn't even dare to finish that thought. Someone that young reaching those heights is terrifying. The May family is going to regret their arrogance when it is far too late. Meanwhile, our main character is still at the Turner estate, completely oblivious to the chaos brewing within the May family. He opened his eyes, feeling the blood energy settle. Once the toxins are gone, he can finally reach the True Dragon martial artist stage. With his goal in mind, he stood up and walked out of the room to find Arthur. He had been inside for days and needed air. In the courtyard, Arthur Turner was tending to rare herbs when he looked up and smiled. Arthur asked how the injuries were healing. Michael thanked him, noting that he was recovering remarkably well. He would be fully healed in 2 days. Arthur laughed, reminding him not to forget their little agreement. Michael nodded to leave, but Arthur warned him that Northbrook hasn't been peaceful lately. He needed to be careful. Michael had already sensed a strange aura while healing. He asked Arthur if something major had happened in the city. Arthur dropped his tools and nodded. A catacomb just appeared 50 miles from Spirit Vale. It is a double S-rank threat, meaning there are Grandmaster-level alien beasts lurking inside. Michael's eyes flashed with interest. Now, you and I know these catacombs are rare, usually packed with monster nests. Arthur just laughed, remembering Michael's real identity. But there was one more thing. The provincial governor sent word that they want to visit Michael personally. Someone from the capital wants to meet him. Michael was surprised someone from that place wouldn't come for a simple matter. Over at the Spirit Vale military base, Simon May marched in and demanded a status update on the new catacomb. A commander saluted, reporting that the demon-quelling army had already been sent in to begin the clearing operation. Simon nodded before asking for the results of the investigation into Michael's background. The commander hesitated, stating that the information required Simon's personal authorization because his own rank wasn't high enough. Simon was shocked. A division commander didn't have enough clearance? Michael's identity was becoming a massive mystery. He walked to the console and saw the insufficient authority warning blinking on the screen. He scanned his hand, but the files stopped at Michael's promotion to junior officer. Then, 4 bright red words appeared. Insufficient authority to access. Simon just sneered, wondering why anyone would protect the records of a lowly junior officer. As he left, his subordinates confirmed that Michael was currently staying with the Turner family. Simon laughed coldly, calling Michael a rebellious son who certainly knew how to pick a powerful place to hide. Suddenly, his phone rang. After a quick listen, Simon's face went pale, and he rushed back to the May family home. Inside the house, Lily, Bradley, and Vivien were all sitting on the sofa, looking completely paralyzed by anxiety. Simon burst in, demanding to know if the Turner family really cut off all cooperation with them. Lily nodded weakly. Arthur Turner flatly refused their latest research invitation and said he wanted nothing to do with them. The room went silent. Without Arthur's help, the May Corporation's new medicine research was effectively dead. In this age of high martial arts, if they can't innovate, their entire family legacy will be wiped out. Bradley wondered if they just didn't pay enough or if they accidentally offended the old master. He couldn't think of any other reason. In Northbrook, the May family was supposed to be Arthur's best possible partner. Vivien shook her head. They already gave him 50% profits. You and I can see the May family is doomed. All right, you and I are dropping right into a family crisis. Old Master Turner and his entire clan completely vanished. The May family thought they were on solid ground with Arthur Turner. They hadn't done a single thing to offend him, or so they thought. So why the sudden split? Lily's wondering if a rival corporation swooped in with a massive offer that Arthur simply couldn't refuse. But Simon May isn't buying it. His face darkens as he looks at his family, clearly holding back a much uglier and more personal truth. Bradley asks if he knows what is going on, but Simon's expression only gets colder and more furious. It's Michael May. He's with the Turners right now, and Simon is convinced his exiled son is behind this entire betrayal. Bradley is stunned. Why would a powerhouse like the Turners protect a total nobody? Surely the old master hasn't lost his mind over some cheap words. Simon warns them not to underestimate Michael. Turns out, he is a captain in the Eastern Zone. Hearing this, Bradley and Vivien finally realize their brother isn't just some common soldier. A young captain is a great investment for Arthur Turner, but the Mays think his judgment is trash. Why choose someone the family literally threw away? Bradley scoffs. A captain? Big deal. He is a major now, far superior to Michael. Vivien is livid, claiming Michael is intentionally tearing the families apart. To her, he is just a traitor who never once considered them to be his true family. She can't believe his nerve. First he angers their father, and now he is nuking their most important business alliance. Lily isn't so sure. She knows Michael is bitter, but this feels too extreme. Simon just glares, his patience for her doubt being totally gone. The evidence is right there. Michael is at the Turner house. Simon asks if they can think of any other logical explanation for this. Lily sighs and suggests inviting Arthur over to renegotiate in a few days. Simon stays quiet, but a dangerous light flashes in his eyes. Seeing her parents suffer is too much for Vivien. She storms out, fueled by rage, determined to make Michael pay for what he's done. Now pay attention. Here is where we see what Michael is really up to. He is meeting with the provincial governor himself. Richard Lee might be the governor, but even he is not high-ranking enough to talk down to Michael anymore. He greets the general with a smile. The governor planned to visit him, but Michael just wanted some fresh air after being cooped up at the Turners. He's not here for small talk. He wants to get straight to business. That is when Richard calls for Tyler Reed to step forward and meet him. Tyler is from the legendary Marshall St. families in the capital. Michael nods, already familiar with the power players from the high city. Tyler is dead serious. Even his own father would have to show Michael total respect, so he is not taking any chances with this greeting. Michael keeps it brief. No need for formalities. Why did the Reed family come all this way to find him? Tyler mentions the upcoming general's heart evaluation in the capital. He knows Michael is heading there soon, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Outside, alien tribes are lurking. Inside the capital, the Marshall Saint families are busy fighting for power. It's a total mess of politics and war. If Michael supports them, the capital might actually stabilize. Then, everyone can finally focus on the real threat, the invading alien tribes. Michael's influence is massive. With him, they would control half of the entire military department. But Michael reminds them his focus is only on killing aliens. Tyler looks anxious. The aliens are getting stronger every day while the human leaders are busy with their petty infighting. If the Marshall Saint families don't end their civil war now, the enemy will have a perfect opening to wipe them all out. Michael goes silent. Tyler has a point, but this decision isn't something he can make on his own. The military isn't his personal toy. He tells them he will consider it. They will finish this conversation once he actually arrives at the capital city. Tyler wants to push for more, but the governor shuts him down. They will settle everything later. Meanwhile, back outside the governor's mansion right now, Vivien is waiting like a coiled snake, ready to strike. Her eyes are locked on the entrance, waiting for Michael to finally show his face. You and I saw this coming. She's ready for a fight, but the scene she discovers leaves her completely speechless. Behind Michael are the governor and Tyler Reed. And get this, they aren't just walking with him. They're being friendly. She recognizes them from Bradley's banquet. One is the ruler of Northbrook, a man with immense power and status. The other is from the capital's elite. Why is her trash brother suddenly hanging out with the world's most powerful people? She hates him, especially after the drama back home, but she is not stupid. She can clearly see something is very different about Michael, something that deeply terrifies her. The way these high-ranking officials look at him, it's not just respect, it is almost like they're afraid of him. Vivien is forced to bite her tongue. Michael dismisses the officials and walks away alone. He's got no interest in their politics or their constant begging for help. They nod and retreat, but Michael stops in a quiet alley. He's known she was following him since the very first step. With his spiritual power, he could sense the entire city. Vivien steps out, her face red with a mix of fury and confusion. She demands to know his connection to the governor and the Reed family. Her voice is shaking as she tries to make sense of it. Who exactly are you, Michael? Why were those powerful men treating someone like you with such intense and humble respect? So what do you and I take from this? The Michael May she knew is gone, replaced by someone far more dangerous. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a hidden legend finally snaps. Vivien may finally snap back, her face twisted in anger. Michael, you have gone too far. Why did you sabotage our family deal? Sabotage your family? I just frowned. Whether Arthur Turner chooses to work with you or not has absolutely nothing to do with me. Still playing dumb? Vivien screamed. Father already told us everything. You have been hiding out at the Turner house all this time. Who else could it be but you? Hearing her interrogation, I realized how delusional they were. Arthur Turner's business choices are his own. Why blame that on me? It makes no sense. If you are sick, go see a doctor. I do not have time for your games. With that, I turned to walk away. Seeing my total indifference, Vivien just froze in place, unable to believe my attitude. When I first joined the May family, I did everything they asked. Even when she mocked me, I still called her my sister. But now, I was telling her she was insane. She did not realize the original owner only wanted a place to belong. But this family never saw me as one of their own. So why should I care? Michael May, you ungrateful brat. Vivien yelled as I walked away. My parents saved you from the slums years ago. Now you are stabbing us in the back. A favor? I stopped and slowly turned back toward her step by step. Listen closely. I already made this clear to everyone. Whatever debt I owed Simon May for bringing me back, it has been paid in full. I owe you nothing. Wait, what are you doing? She felt a terrifying aura radiating from me. Her own spiritual power began to flare up automatically, triggered by a sudden, overwhelming intent to fight. I am only talking to you because of the sibling bond we once shared, I said coldly. You want to know who I really am? Pay attention here, because this is where the truth finally comes out. A massive wave of spiritual energy exploded from my body, my eyes glowing white. Vivien was paralyzed with shock. In her vision, my figure began to split 1, 2, 3 until I had completely surrounded her. Then, she saw a battlefield. A young man in blood-stained clothes standing atop a mountain of dead beasts, his spear piercing through a monster. That brutal image was seared into her very soul. Then, a new, blurry scene started to form before her eyes. A line of soldiers in full uniform, wearing golden medals, all saluting a young man. He wore the same dazzling gold on his shoulders. Vivien tried to see his face, but the image vanished instantly. Who was that? Could that man in the vision really be you? She snapped back to reality, trembling. She could not see clearly, but that nightmare was now carved into her mind. It was impossible to shake. She refused to believe it. It could not be Michael. In that moment, her martial arts growth stopped. My image became her literal inner demon. You and I both know the only way out for her is to accept that I am the hero those soldiers revere. When Vivien finally looked up, I was already gone. She stumbled back home like a ghost, whispering to herself that it could not be me. She kept repeating it over and over. Bradley May rushed toward her, asking what was wrong, but she did not even hear his voice. She walked past him like a soulless corpse. Inside, Simon May was still fuming with rage over everything that had happened with me. His expression softened when he saw her. He always thought she and Bradley were superior to me. "Father, look at her," Bradley shouted. "She looks possessed." Simon frowned, immediately sensing that something was terribly wrong with his daughter's spiritual energy. He rushed to her side, looking worried. He pressed his palm against her forehead, sending a gentle stream of energy into her mind. Slowly, her eyes regained their clarity. "Vivien, tell me what happened," Simon asked, his voice shaking with anxiety. "I do not know," she whispered, shaking her head. She tried to say my name, but the vision of the bloody battlefield returned instantly. The ghostly image made her power spiral out of control. Seeing this, Simon May let out a roar of pure, unbridled rage. "Who in Northbrook dares to touch my daughter? Do they want to die? Vivien, go rest. I will find whoever did this. You can deal with them yourself later." She just nodded, her eyes full of terror as she retreated. Bradley looked on, grim-faced. "Father, what is wrong with her?" Simon replied coldly. "Someone used spiritual power to force a terrifying memory into her head. This memory has become her inner demon." His face was distorted with fury. "What? Does that mean her path as a warrior is over? Who would be so cruel?" Bradley's face paled. "In martial arts, having a strong heart is just as important as having talent. If your heart is broken, talent is useless." Simon's voice was deep. "It is not that bad yet, but it is close. Once I find them and kill them, the demon will disappear." His power fluctuated wildly, his breathing sounding like rolling thunder. He was rarely this angry. Bradley thought for a moment, then it hit him. "Father." When Vivien came back, she was muttering something. "It is that little beast, Michael, isn't it?" Simon was shocked and furious. He actually dared to attack his own sister. He narrowed his eyes and ordered Bradley to go tell Michael to crawl back home tomorrow. "I am on it," Bradley replied. "The truth is, I did not destroy her heart. I just showed her the reality she refused to believe, and she broke herself. So what do you and I take from this? When you refuse to see the truth, your own pride becomes your worst enemy." Simon May moved fast. I barely returned to the Turner estate when his messengers arrived, making me wonder what he really wanted. Vivien had clearly gone back and cried to them. I knew exactly why they wanted me, but I couldn't be bothered to explain. "Stick with me. We are about to watch a powerful family try to bully the one son they should have feared the most." The messenger threatened to sever our father-son bond. I just laughed. As if he ever cared about being a father to me before. "Go tell Simon we are officially done. No more ties. If he wants to see me so badly, he can drag his own feet here." When the report reached him, Simon exploded in rage, shattering his heavy table into 1,000 splinters with a single, powerful strike. He called me a beast and vowed to handle me personally. Bradley followed close behind, his fury matching his father's cold anger in that moment. They were convinced I'd crossed a line by attacking my sister. Soon, the Turner household was swarming with tension and family trouble. Simon stormed into the hall, demanding I crawl out and face him. Old Master Arthur Turner could feel the heavy pressure of a general rising. Simon didn't care about politeness anymore. He claimed I was a monster who dared to strike his own blood, his precious little daughter, Vivien. He wasn't showing respect to anyone today. Arthur could see the raw, unchecked fury burning deep in Simon's eyes as he spoke. Usually, a commander wouldn't act this way, but the Turner family wasn't about to be pushed around that easily by anyone today. I stepped in before things got ugly. I told Arthur not to worry, these people were here specifically for me and no one else. Now pay attention here, because this is where the heated family drama turns into an all-out, high-stakes physical clash you won't want to miss. Bradley called me heartless for hitting my sister. I just looked at him. Bold words for people who never treated me like family. I hadn't even started with her yet. Besides, why should I care about a sister who only ever saw me as an enemy? Simon was shaking with rage. The fact that I treated him like a complete stranger was more insulting than any physical blow I could ever take. He was acting like I'd ruin her life, even though her injuries wouldn't actually stop her from practicing martial arts in the long run. Bradley screamed, calling me a beast before lunging forward. He was determined to put me in my place once and for all today. Simon just watched. He figured Bradley handling it was cleaner than a father having to beat his own son in front of everyone. He had total faith in Bradley's talent. After all, reaching the acquired martial artist realm at his age was extremely rare indeed. His talent was decent, I'll give him that. But unfortunately for him, the person standing here was the real Michael May himself. He swung a punch that could level a building, packing 10,000 caddies of raw, crushing force designed to shatter my very existence. I didn't even flinch as the wind howled. Bradley was so smug, thinking he had already won the fight right then and there. He was the best in Northbrook and thought I was frozen in fear. Then, in an instant, his expression completely changed into pure shock. His pride and joy of a punch hit nothing but empty air. I had vanished before he could even register my actual movement. Even Simon was stunned. From his perspective, I had turned into a blurry shadow and slipped right past the devastating, high-speed attack. Suddenly, the air grew heavy with the scent of blood and a terrifying energy that made the entire room feel suffocating and thick. You and I can see Simon's face turning pale as he realizes my power is on a completely different level than before. This wasn't 10,000 caddies, it was 100,000. Simon tried to jump in before his precious Bradley got completely pulverized by me. I was too quick. Before Simon could even move an inch, Bradley was screaming in pain as he went flying across the entire room. He crashed hard, coughing up blood. Every bone in his body felt like it had been ground into dust from that single hit. The pain was agonizing. Seeing his favorite son broken, Simon forgot all about his dignity and attacked me directly with everything he had. This was a Grandmaster's strike. If Bradley could break a building, Simon's palm strike was powerful enough to level an entire city with ease. As the man guarding the entire region, his power was legendary. He wasn't holding anything back against me this time. Instead of backing away, I stepped right into his range and met his palm with a devastating, high-powered punch of my own. The entire estate shook from the massive impact. I told him coldly that he was the real monster here, and I was finished. I threatened to reveal all his dirty secrets. Simon stood there, completely frozen in shock by the depth of my newfound strength. Not only had I stopped his best move, but his entire arm was shaking. He felt like he was falling into an abyss. His presence was like a heavy mountain, but mine was an endless, fathomless ocean that he couldn't even begin to measure or understand. He screamed at me for fighting back. He was terrified of my power and furious that I dared to defy his ultimate authority. He thought I was just bitter about him stealing my military achievements from my brother. He never imagined I was actually this powerful. He couldn't believe I'd raise a hand against my own father. I just asked him if he'd finally lost his mind as well. I'd already told him we were done. The only rebellious son in this room was the one bleeding out on the floor right now. And trust me, you and I won't forget the look on Simon's face as he sees his golden boy broken and defeated. Alright, you and I are about to witness the moment a father realizes the son he trashed is actually a beast. I truly regret bringing you back. I should have let you rot in the slums. Despite his words, he definitely felt the power of my punch. If we truly clashed, the winner was anyone's guess. An all-out fight between us would turn the entire Spirit Vale city into a disaster zone. Being a man of status, he held back partly for the family's pride, but mostly because he feared I'd expose his old secrets and ruin him. Arthur Turner stepped forward, calling him out. General May, you're wrong. When the alien beasts invaded years ago, you let your own son wander alone. That was your failure. To give birth but not raise is a waste of life. Bringing him back was your duty as a parent, not a favor. Simon May's face turned a sickly green. Finally, he just sneered and rushed over to check on Bradley May's condition. Total mess. You're truly vicious, he spat. You knew your brother's martial arts exam was coming, yet you beat him like this. You're trying to destroy his future. First, I'm a beast. Now I'm a brother. I called him out. Why don't you ask if he's ever called me Big Brother since I returned? Simon May knew the truth. Since my return, Vivien and Bradley never showed me respect, let alone acknowledge me as their older brother. But he always looked the other way, thinking I just needed time to integrate. He assumed everything would eventually be fine over time. Waiting until now, even he forgot they hadn't called me brother a single time. I guess he just grew used to the constant disrespect. Simon May stayed silent, his heart a mess of complex emotions. He grabbed Bradley and left the Turner estate, rushing home to check his injuries. Now pay attention, because this family drama is about to hit a whole new level of crazy. Lily had just walked in. Seeing Bradley covered in blood, she ran over in a panic. Simon yelled, "It was your good son who did this." Right before the martial arts exam, he beat Bradley like this. He clearly doesn't want his own brother to do well. If my sudden strength hadn't pressured him, he would have forced me to kneel at the family gates for 3 days and 3 nights. But he was still suspicious. How did my martial arts get so strong? Lily began stuffing healing pills and liquid down Bradley's throat. Shocked, she whispered, "Michael did this." Bradley was beaten by Michael? The Stone Corporation specialized in medicines for martial artists, after all. Though the injuries were severe, enough money could get him recovered before the exam. If it wasn't him, then who could it be? Simon grew angrier with every thought. That little beast's wings have hardened. He even dared to lay a hand on me. Lily sighed. She thought my anger would fade in a few days and I'd return. She never expected things to get this messy and complicated. Provoke him? I'm the one being provoked here, Simon screamed. Lily stopped talking and checked Bradley's condition, letting out a long breath of relief. The wounds are deep, but I'll bring medicine from the company. It won't ruin the exam. Simon felt relieved, but his rage remained. This rebellious son is determined to cut ties with the May family. Fine, don't look for him anymore. Let him fend for himself. Even though my words hit home, making him realize his other children never saw me as a brother, he couldn't back down. As a father, how could he bow to his son, even if he was wrong? Lily sat in silence. Everything was spiraling out of control. She wasn't there, but she knew Simon's temper. If this kept up, father and son would eventually become deadly enemies. As a mother, she felt guilty and didn't want it to reach this point, but she feared she was losing her eldest son forever. 100 miles from Spiritville, a massive mountain range loomed. At the foot of the mountain sat a quiet, small village. Sturdy farmers were heading home, talking as they walked. What's with the weather? I feel a chill down my spine, like we're being watched. I've felt it too. I heard a catacomb full of alien beasts appeared up in the mountains. No wonder everything feels so uneasy lately. Don't worry, the demon-quelling army is here, led by a grandmaster. Before the words finished, a massive explosion rocked the peaks. You and I both saw the tension building, but nobody expected an explosion of this scale. A voice from the army roared, "Retreat! All villagers, evacuate immediately." A lieutenant colonel dashed out from the deep woods. He landed at the village entrance, looking cold and stern. "Sir, what's happening? Why do we have to leave?" a man asked. The officer replied coldly, "The beasts inside are beyond our expectations. If you don't want to die, get out of here right now." Realizing even the army was struggling, the men didn't waste time. They grabbed their families and fled the village in terror. The officer barked an order, "Contact headquarters. This catacomb isn't just double S rank, it might be even higher. Request reinforcements and a spiritual master to reassess the threat level." Then, he turned and vanished back into the dark mountains. In the heart of the range was a massive basin. Right in the center sat a pitch-black cave with no visible bottom. A single beast from this pit had already crippled the army. And that was just one, who dared to call this double S rank. The officer's face was grim as he stepped into the basin. Meanwhile, at the Holy Martial Academy, Diana Turner closed her eyes. Everything around her began to move in slow motion, every detail magnified as her spiritual power turned ash white. And that's where we leave it, trust me. You're going to want to see the war that's coming next. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a world where gods and monsters finally clash for survival. Teacher, what brings you here? General Chloe Reed has a mission to survey a deadly catacomb in Spirit Vale. She wants the girl to tag along. Spirit Vale. Diana can hardly believe her ears. Back at the villa, with the May family situation handled, I focus on what comes next. I head for the door, planning to thank Arthur Turner before returning to the front lines. Arthur smiles, warning that the alien poison might still relapse. I insist the toxins are completely gone. Relapse? No way. But Arthur explains this cosmic poison is a relic from deep space. He says caution is key. I realize these alien tribes are truly terrifying. He offers a pill to shield my heart and rewrite my very genetic code. This medicine grants immunity and unlocks high-speed regeneration. Not going to lie, I am stunned. Like a sci-fi movie, growing limbs back? Arthur says it is not quite that extreme yet. It just accelerates natural healing. I accept the gift as he pulls a porcelain bottle from thin air. I take the medicine into my room and find a tiny pill inside. Now watch this. Things are about to get absolutely brutal. My body erupts in agony as bones shatter and reassemble into something far stronger. I push through the pain, entering enlightenment until the storm finally calms. Lightning and fire swirl around me. This vitality is incredible, like a dead forest coming back to life. I have unlocked a forbidden rebirth martial art. In this era, something like this is simply unheard of. I can heal almost anything now. Even a lost arm would grow back in minutes. I am not insane enough to chop off my hand, but I must test this power. I slice my palm open. Before a drop of blood hits the floor, the wound is gone. This is God-tier regeneration. Arthur greets me with a smile, asking if the process went well. I nod, keeping the rebirth secret to myself. The old master seems satisfied with the result. Leave now. Then, my phone rings again. I blacklist the number while Arthur laughs. You saw that coming, right? Of course, she's heading back now. Arthur has helped me too much to just walk away. Fine, I will stay. Meanwhile, near the mountains of Spirit Vale, a heavy military aura chokes the air. Guards double as beast sightings rise. The demon-quelling army locks it down. A high-speed military helicopter arrives, carrying a legend from the capital. A lieutenant colonel steps outside. Cameron Stone, captain of the elite 72nd Vanguard Squad, stands ready. This catacomb is his territory. A woman in a blue uniform steps off the chopper. Behind her stands a young girl. Cameron recognizes her face instantly. It is Diana Turner, the genius from 2 years ago. These holy martial students are basically living weapons. Cameron steps forward to introduce himself as the officer in charge here. Here for the inspection, General Reed nods, demanding a full report on the catacomb. It was double S rank, but a grandmaster appeared. They do not know the count. Chloe Reed stares into the dark mountain range. Have the psychics checked it? Cameron admits something is blocking their spiritual probes. Chloe frowns. Only two possibilities. Either the monster horde is massive, or something stronger than a grandmaster is inside. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Alright, You and I are about to dive into a mystery that could wipe a whole city off the map if it exceeds double S rank. We need to prepare." Chloe Reed ordered a helicopter to take her directly above the catacomb, and soon they were flying deep into the heart of the massive mountain range. From above, the catacomb looked like a giant, terrifying black hole with eerie smoke drifting out at that moment. Chloe Reed's face turned dead serious as she watched. This place was even weirder than she imagined when she tried to probe with her spiritual power. An invisible force completely blocked her path and pushed her back. She frowned, her voice heavy even she couldn't probe it, which left Cameron Stone in total shock that his spiritual grandmaster was actually powerless against this force. "What exactly is this place?" Chloe withdrew her power and asked who the highest level martial artist currently stationed at the encampment was for this mission. "A level 7 grandmaster," Cameron replied, but Chloe shook her head in a situation like this. Even a grandmaster just is not enough to survive. She needed a great grandmaster to venture inside the catacomb with her, but Cameron Stone immediately refused the idea without a single second of thought or hesitation. Now pay attention, because this is where the danger becomes terrifyingly real. Teams were sent in before, but nobody ever came back from that darkness, and the risks are high. Chloe Reed sighed. Feeling helpless, she decided to head back for now and try to think of another way to handle the situation. Back at the camp, Chloe tried every trick in the book, but that invisible wall kept her spiritual power from ever reaching the depths of the mysterious catacomb. She finally gave up. Feeling totally powerless if they wanted answers, the only option left was to physically step inside that dark and dangerous hole. Cameron suggested requesting support from military headquarters, though they both knew the chances of getting real help were incredibly low at this point in time. "I will stay in Northbrook for a few days to keep trying," Chloe said, though she feared the result would stay exactly the same regardless of her efforts. As Cameron started his report, Chloe stood up. She had other business to attend to but asked to be notified the moment any news arrived regarding their next move. On the way to Spirit Vale, Diana Turner asked her teacher what would happen to the catacomb if they did not get any support from the headquarters. Chloe's answer was chilling. They would use heavy firepower to completely destroy the area, and Diana realized her home was about to become an uninhabitable wasteland for all humanity. This was the place where she grew up, making her even more worried than her teacher about the upcoming disaster. Chloe's voice deepened. The best move was to determine the rank and prepare, but she doubted the military headquarters would ever agree to take such a massive risk. Trying to lighten the heavy mood, Chloe teased Diana about a marriage prospect her grandfather found, asking if she planned to meet the guy while they were back. Diana blushed and told her teacher to stop teasing, but Chloe just laughed, reminding her that she was a true holy martial genius who deserved the best. "If that man is not good enough, I will be the first one to object." They laughed together until they finally reached the gates of the Spirit Vale estate. They reached the Turner family home, where Arthur Turner was busy tending to his flowers and grass under the afternoon sun. Hearing the noise, the old man trembled with joy. Diana ran over to support him, introduced her teacher, and explained she was just visiting Northbrook while on a mission. Chloe smiled warmly and greeted the old master, introducing herself as a spiritual system instructor from the prestigious Holy Martial Academy where Diana currently studies. Arthur Turner nodded, feeling deeply amazed by the strength and grace of the young woman standing before him. She was only in her late 20s but already a major general, yet Arthur knew he was currently hosting a military genius who was even more god-tier than her. He asked Diana if she was doing well at the academy and if anyone had been brave enough to bully her during her time away. Chloe watched the family moment quietly before deciding to take a stroll outside to give the two of them some private space for their long-awaited reunion. "Wait, you and I need to watch this part closely." A familiar figure suddenly appeared, making her freeze as old memories came rushing back to her mind. I felt a gaze on me and turned around to see Chloe Reed staring in absolute shock. I knew she looked familiar, but my memory was too blurry to place her. Chloe was stunned for a long time before she finally snapped back to reality, her voice visibly trembling as she spoke to me. "General May, it is really you," she was excited, reminding me of how I saved her helicopter from a deadly abyss in the 3rd Eastern War Zone. Hearing those details, I pondered for a moment and the memory of that specific mission finally clicked into place. I remembered a small squad on the Eastern Front line almost being swallowed by an abyss until I casually stepped in to save them while heading home. I had just finished my own mission when I felt that aura. I did not realize back then that Chloe was one of the survivors on that flight. She thanked me for the rescue, and I told her it was a small matter before asking what she was actually doing here in a quiet place like Northbrook. I nodded, realizing the catacomb level was still a total mystery, and the only way to know the truth was to go inside. Otherwise, the military might resort to using nuclear weapons, and I knew the terrible consequences that would bring to the people living here. But probing from the inside is a massive risk that the headquarters would never approve, I said with a completely indifferent tone that showed my lack of concern. "If you want to go down, I can go with you." Chloe's eyes lit up, though she's still worried about notifying the military command about such a dangerous move. "And trust me, you and I are about to see just how powerful this man really is with me here. What are you afraid of?" Looking at the golden epaulets on my shoulders, Chloe shook her head and put her worries aside, feeling a strange sense of total ease with a legend present. With you there, I feel safe, so when do we leave? I do not like wasting time, so I told her we could leave at any moment. I stepped back into the hall and locked eyes with Diana. It was only for a second, but I quickly looked away to focus on the mission ahead. All right, stick with me. You're about to see what happens when the strongest man alive stops holding back. Old Master Turner just smiles, telling me to be back for dinner. I give a simple nod and head out. Arthur looks at his granddaughter, Diana, asking if his eye for talent was right. Diana turns red and stays silent. Chloe, Reed, and I leave the estate, heading for the catacomb, when a white car suddenly pulls up. Lily steps out looking elegant and softly calls my name. I just frown, ignoring her completely as I brush right past. Lily tries to grab my arm but freezes, her heart trembling. She asks in a low, shaky voice if I'm still angry with her. I give her a cold, empty look. We don't know each other, so why would I be angry? I walk away without looking back even once. The words Lily prepared die in her throat. Just like I said before, our ties are cut, and now she realizes I actually meant it. It feels like needles piercing her heart. Pale and shaken, she gets back in her car and floors the gas to follow me. On the way to the catacomb, Chloe sees Lily but keeps quiet. I've already tossed that whole situation to the back of my mind. After a moment, I ask about the girl at the Turner house. Chloe explains she's Diana, the old master's granddaughter. I make a subtle face, so it was her. I made a promise to Arthur, so as long as she's willing, I don't mind. Chloe is puzzled by how calm I am. She wonders why I'm so relaxed when we're literally heading toward a dark abyss. We arrive at the army camp. Cameron Stone just got a flat refusal from headquarters about going down into the catacomb. The military won't risk losing a great grandmaster and a spiritual system expert under these mysterious and deadly circumstances. Cameron walks out looking totally defeated. Right then, he spots two figures walking toward the camp from the outside. It's Chloe Reed. Cameron's eyes light up, hoping she found a way. Chloe waves her hand, her voice filled with genuine excitement. She asks if everyone is ready. Cameron rushes over, his face full of hope, asking if the help has finally arrived. He's looking for a senior chief from headquarters. Chloe lowers her voice, and Cameron freezes as he looks behind her. He sees a young man standing there, staring deep into the mountains. Cameron is stunned, wondering how a chief could be this young. He thinks the face looks familiar. Chloe snaps him out of it, telling him to hurry up and prep the helicopter. Chloe gives him a light kick to wake him up. Cameron hurriedly agrees, not daring to question her orders any further. Chloe is a major general, after all. If she calls this kid chief, then the military must have sent a real monster. Cameron orders Squad 4 to escort us. Soon, the helicopter takes off, flying deep into the heart of the mountain range. Now, pay attention as we get closer. I sense dozens of powerful Grandmaster-level auras. This isn't just some normal mission. With so many high-level beasts, this is the perfect chance to earn some serious rewards. The pilot asks if he should land. I look down and shake my head. No need. I grab Chloe and jump straight out of the helicopter, diving into the dark pit while the soldiers watch in total shock. Good Lord, one of the soldiers mutters, completely frozen as he watches us freefall into the abyss. The others are just as stunned. To this guy, entering a deadly catacomb is like walking into his own front door. This is the aura of a true powerhouse. Chloe is terrified, clinging to me tightly as we fall into the darkness. We finally hit the bottom. The air is damp and suffocating, filled with a dark energy that makes your skin crawl. I summon swirling flames to light up the cave. I take a few steps and ask Chloe if she can sense anything yet. She shakes her head. We're only on the first floor, and the spiritual interference is too strong. We have to go deeper. I nod and pull her down further. Behind us, the entire first floor is swallowed by my raging wall of fire. Let that sink in for a second. Usually these places have 40 floors, and the danger multiplies the further you go down. By the 20th floor, Grandmaster-level beasts appear. I tell Chloe that dozens of them are already staring at us from the shadows. I step forward as my flames burn even hotter. A massive long saber forms in my hand, and I let out a devastating slash. A wave of fire and steel tears through the pack. In a split second, the monsters are shredded and burned to nothing but ash. These beasts can't even stand up to a peak great grandmaster like me. The system starts ringing with a long list of rewards. I don't even stop to check the notifications. I just sheath my blade and keep walking into the darkness. The skill upgrades are small, but it's a start. Chloe focuses her mind and says her spiritual power can finally penetrate the depths. There are great Grandmaster level beasts on the 30th floor. I frown, wondering what's waiting for us on the very bottom. Chloe explains we'll only know for sure once we hit the 40th floor. She finally understands why other psychics couldn't probe this place. Based on the energy leaks from the bottom, we might be looking at an alien tribe coming through a spatial rift. If that's true, it's a massive disaster. No alien tribe has ever appeared this close to a human city before. I tell her we're moving down. A few monsters don't scare me, but the 40th floor? Trust me, you and I are about to see something truly terrifying. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch our main character dive into a mission where one wrong move means total disaster. Chloe hesitated but followed as I cut through every Grandmaster beast like paper, finally reaching the 30th floor. Things were getting heavy, so Chloe pushed her spiritual senses to the limit while I handled the great Grandmaster monsters. Suddenly, she let out a scream. This place was beyond triple S rank. Panic set in as she realized we had to get out. She found something terrifying on the 40th floor. I cut an alien beast in half and realized the situation was worse than I thought. A monster down there is as strong as a true dragon martial artist. Chloe nodded, her face pale with pure dread. I stayed calm. Even against a true dragon-level threat, I knew I could still hold my own in a fight. But Chloe warned me this place is twisted. The spiritual energy here is wilder than anything she has ever felt before. It's off the charts. Triple S rank or maybe even worse. For a second, I actually hesitated about going any deeper. Now pay attention, this is where it gets insane. A massive black shadow shot out from the abyss like a monster from the deep sea. A giant maw opened wide to swallow us whole. The cavern shook as every single monster in the catacombs suddenly went into a total frenzy. Rocks rained down as the ceiling started to cave in. I realized we were trapped and yelled for her to retreat immediately. I could take this thing, but I needed Chloe's safe first. She realized she would only be a distraction in this chaos. As a spiritual grandmaster, her powers weren't meant for this kind of raw, brutal close-quarters combat against a beast this size. She knew she'd just be a burden here, so she took a deep breath and leaped toward the only exit left. I blasted her upward with a palm strike of astral wind, launching her safely out of the collapsing cave in a blur. Right then, the beast's bloody jaws snapped shut, devouring everything in sight before it slithered back into the dark depths of the pit. Silence fell, but above ground, the world was ending. The mountains shook as the entire catacomb began to cave in on itself. It was a total riot. The rescue squad and the helicopter watched in horror as the ground below them literally started to vanish. Both leaders were still down there. But suddenly, a lone figure burst from the rubble and grabbed the helicopter's landing gear for dear life. "Where's the boss?" they asked. Chloe's face was like ice, a look they had never seen on her before. "Call headquarters now. It's a triple S rank disaster and the chief is trapped. We need an immediate rescue team sent to this location." Cameron Stone froze. He had never seen Chloe this shaken up, and seeing her return alone was his worst nightmare come true. He didn't ask any questions. He just ran to report to Simon May, who was currently meeting with the elite demon-quelling army officers. They were watching live satellite feeds of the collapse. As the commander, Simon May knew this situation was turning into a literal catastrophe. A commander hung up his phone with a grim face. The front line reported a full-scale riot. Everything was about to go south. They are begging for reinforcements. One of our top military chiefs is still trapped deep inside that crumbling hellhole right now. When Simon asked about the danger level, the room went cold. It's beyond triple S rank, a level of threat we've never faced. Having a threat this massive near a city was a nightmare. This was going to be a life or death test for everyone involved. Trust me, you saw that right? Even the cold Simon May looked absolutely terrified by the scale of this disaster. He barked out orders to deploy divisions 379 and 358th, but the commander asked about the man trapped inside. They want a rescue team. Simon asked if they knew who was down there. No one had a name yet, probably just some guard with Chloe, the commander guessed. Simon sighed, saying that on a battlefield, casualties are just part of life. He admitted that if he had to sacrifice himself, he would do it. The entire hall went dead silent after those words. Back at the camp, Cameron told Chloe the military's plan. She nearly lost it. She could not believe they were leaving him behind. Do they have any idea who was in that cave? Losing him would be a devastating blow that the entire military would never recover from. Then she stopped. She realized their cold logic made sense. On the front lines, people die every single day. That is just reality. Even Simon, their strongest fighter, was only a peak great grandmaster. He wasn't even at the true dragon level needed to survive down there. Going into that pit was suicide. Their only hope was to call for a real powerhouse from the central military headquarters for help. But even a true dragon-level martial artist would take at least half a day to get here. He didn't have that time. Getting a martial saint was basically impossible right now. Chloe told Cameron they just had to pray that the chief could somehow survive on his own. Shouting erupted outside. A woman was forcing her way in despite the guards trying to block her from entering the camp. Cameron stepped out and saw her Lily. She was the head of the May Corporation and one of the most powerful women around. He told the guards to stand down. He asked her what she was doing at a military camp that was currently in combat mode. She looked at him with desperation and said, "I'm looking for my son. Trust me, you and I are not ready for this." She had planned to wait, but the catacombs riot and the skyrocketing danger made it impossible for her to stay still. "You and I are about to see this go wild." Bradley May was home preparing for his exams, nowhere near the front line. Lily gave the guard a sharp, cold glare. I am looking for Michael May. Hearing that name, Cameron froze, realizing this was the family's eldest son, the one once engaged to his sister. But wait, didn't this guy vanish 3 years ago and just get back? Cameron Stone had a really strange look on his face. Michael May is not here, madam. You have the wrong place. Seeing Lily push past him, Cameron had to follow her. Madam, a battle is coming. You need to leave before I have to explain this mess to General May. Lily ignored him, spotting Chloe Reed nearby. She rushed over, tense. Where's my son? He was just with you. Cameron froze. The person with Chloe, wasn't that the chief? Is Michael May really the chief? That is just impossible. Cameron remembered meeting me at the May house years ago. Back then, I was just a timid, out-of-place country boy. His sister Samantha said I was worthless to the family. At the time, he actually felt a bit sorry for me. But the idea of his sister marrying someone like me killed that sympathy. Now, how did I become a chief? Chloe Reed snapped out of it, her eyes flashing. She only knew his military rank, not his family ties in Northbrook. If he is a May, Simon May definitely cannot just ignore this. She lowered her voice. He is still in the catacombs. Now pay attention, because Michael's life is literally hanging by a thread. Lily turned pale. Still in the catacombs. The whole city is already under an emergency alert. Knowing I was still down there, her heart sank. Did you tell Simon May yet? She asked. Cameron replied that the military department ordered a suppression from above. No one is allowed to go down. Cameron felt like he was falling into an abyss. His mind was spinning with pure shock and total disbelief. He could not process it. The man Chloe called chief was Michael May. What rank? Lieutenant General? General? He was terrified to think. Lily slammed the table, demanding the phone. Cameron gulped, begging her to see the big picture and follow military orders. Lily glared, her voice like ice. I am calling Simon May as a wife, not a soldier. The person down there is his flesh and blood. Others might walk away, but Simon May cannot. Seeing her rage, Cameron broke into a sweat and rushed her to the Northbrook military line. Simon May listened, his face shifting between tension and calm. Finally, he gave a cold, heartless answer. Orders are orders. If you want my answer as a father, here it is. From now on, I only have one son, Bradley May. Simon's coldness cut through the phone. Lily suddenly remembered my words from that night and Simon's true intent. Bringing Michael back was just to turn him into a sharp weapon. She thought he was just being angry back then. Now she realized the truth. She had grown used to my silent sacrifices. Letting me be homeless, then sending me to war. She owed me everything. If she had just spoken up for me that night, maybe none of this would be happening. Okay, let's pause for a second while the family fights. Michael is doing something absolutely insane deep within the catacombs. I was standing right in the belly of a giant beast. It had swallowed a whole house, including me. I grabbed my alloy battle saber and sliced through its stomach. The beast let out a scream as I ripped my way out. After escaping, I pushed my spiritual power outward, sensing every single vibration in the darkness. The energy was spiking. Something was definitely down here. I kept moving deeper, passing the 32nd floor. The deeper I went, the stronger the monsters became. Before long, I reached the 40th floor. The floor was covered in silver liquid glowing like moonlight. I realized this was high-grade mithril for spiritual training. A single bottle of this stuff is worth billions. I never expected to find a treasure like this down here. This mithril was why spiritual scans couldn't penetrate the floor. The light from the metal showed the space distorting ahead. A black shadow materialized. Its face was wrapped in cloth, revealing only glowing eyes with a demonic light. I raised my saber. Alien tribe, everything was finally starting to make sense. These deep space aliens can possess corpses and pull the strings of the dead. The shadow spoke with a hollow, emotionless voice. You smell familiar. I stayed calm. Look closely. Remember this face. Next time, you will be bowing to me. The shadow froze, then screamed in shock. It is you. You are alive. Those blood-sucking tribes said you would not last a month. I just nodded. So you remember me. Well, you won't get another chance. Flames erupted around me. Every effect was a Grandmaster skill. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens in this showdown. Alright, stick with me. You and I are about to see a monster realize he picked the wrong fight. He thinks the hero's special physique is his ticket to the top. I didn't waste another word. My saber flashed like a ghost, vanishing into the dark catacomb while the shadow snorted in cold contempt. Let's see what you've got. The air distorted violently as the mithril on the ground literally evaporated right before our eyes. Suddenly, pure terror filled the shadow's gaze. His spiritual power was locked down in this space, unable to track my every move. Billowing dust hung over him like a heavy blade, pinning him down. Panicked, he realized this was my sand and dust domain despite my great Grandmaster rank. How is your domain this powerful? I just sneered. These true dragon creatures are tough, and even suppressed. His defense was proving hard to crack. The shadow screamed, telling me not to waste my time. He'd already signaled every alien beast in the catacomb to return to their nest. Run now or die, he warned. I just nodded. Makes sense, but you're still dead. Then, fierce winds, lightning, and flames engulfed him entirely. Back at the military camp, a soldier burst in with an urgent report. Sir, the alien beasts are pulling back immediately. The beasts were retreating. Cameron Stone rushed outside, watching the mountain range as the entire swarm flooded back into the dark catacomb depths. As the earth stopped shaking, Cameron Stone frowned in deep confusion. Why now? Why would they suddenly abandon their massive assault on us? The soldier just shook his head. They're all pulling back, sir. Cameron couldn't believe it. An alien riot ending this abruptly? It was unheard of. Now here is where the tension hits a boiling point. The retreat gave the army a break, but a lethal new problem was just starting. I was still trapped down there. With the beasts returning, my escape was now impossible. Lily stepped out, her face turning a ghostly pale. She heard the news and her heart sank. The beasts returning home helped the city, but it meant my chances of surviving were basically zero. Nearly losing it, she sprinted toward the catacomb entrance. Out of my way, I have to get to him, but they couldn't let her go. Cameron Stone grabbed her, begging her to stay calm. Going down there now is suicide, he warned. It's too dangerous for you to interfere. Secretly, Cameron knew I was likely dead already. If a battle was still raging below, they would have felt the shockwaves by now. Silence meant death. Suddenly, Chloe Reed spoke up. The spiritual energy below is fading. Lily's eyes widened. Any news of Michael? Chloe just shook her head sadly. In 30 minutes, I can probe the whole cave, Chloe said. But for Lily, that small spark of hope was instantly snuffed out by the silence. She looked at Cameron with ice in her eyes. Get a helicopter ready and take me there. Cameron wanted to stop her, but you don't cross the head of the May Corporation. He gritted his teeth and called in the elite squad. Squad 7, protect the madam. As they flew toward the silent cave, Cameron sent an urgent report to Simon May explaining that the beasts disappeared. The dark cave mouth showed no signs of life. Deep inside, after dozens of high-level strikes, the Shadow's body was finally being ripped apart. You'll be eradicated, the monster roared. Suddenly, a faint blue light emerged, a soul trying to flee the scene with a powerful suction force pulling it. My eyes narrowed with pure killing intent. I've never been the merciful type. Leaving enemies alive only means they'll come back to bite you later. A final scream echoed as my blade, wreathed in frost and lightning, slammed into that escaping light with enough energy to shatter the very air. The soul shattered like glass. Then, the system chimed. Ding! Target eliminated. Reward, level 10, True Dragon Liquid. I honestly could not believe my luck. Double reward triggered. I also landed a True Dragon level martial art called Immortal Cells. Not gonna lie, the timing on this was absolutely perfect. This was exactly what I needed. I was at the peak of Great Grandmaster, and this gift provided the fuel to finally break through my limits. I scanned the details for Immortal Cells, and a flood of divine information surged into my mind, rewriting my understanding of power. It compresses blood chi into cells, making them mutate and burn like eternal stars. It provides a constant, infinite source of raw, unstoppable energy. Trust me, this is wild. If mastered, these cells grant true immortality. This system is just completely and utterly overpowered. I immediately sat down and applied the liquid. My skin turned fire red, my bones itched intensely, and the blood within my body began to surge. In seconds, the bottle was absorbed. My strength literally doubled as I opened my eyes, a sharp golden light flashing with newfound, godlike power. The bottleneck broke. I wasn't quite a full True Dragon yet, but I had officially reached the rank of a half-step True Dragon warrior. My spiritual power soared, fueled by the leftover energy in the catacomb. But with that growth came a dangerous, unexpected new problem for me. I fell into a nightmare, the signature move of the alien tribe. It is a mental invasion meant to trap the victim in their own darkest thoughts. It invades the mind, creating an illusion that amplifies fear. It is a deadly mental trap. But 3 years of brutal war had turned my heart to stone. This nightmare couldn't touch me. Meanwhile, Lily was desperately searching above ground. Her spiritual range expanded deep into the earth. Passing the 30th floor, her heart pounded with a mix of desperate hope and paralyzing terror. She was glad there was no corpse, but terrified of what she might find the deeper she probed into that dark, silent abyss below. Stick with me, we're about to see her find him. After 5 long minutes, Lily finally smiled, her voice trembling. He is alive. He was fine, but something was wrong. His eyes were clamped shut, as if he were locked in a desperate struggle inside his own mind. Lily looked closer and realized the truth. I had fallen into an illusion, and she knew exactly how terrifying these mental prisons could be. All right, you and I are about to witness a mother frantically using her spiritual power to reach into a dark illusion and pull her son back from total ruin. Inside the memory, an alien invasion is tearing the base apart while low roars of monsters echo through the thunderous crashing sounds. An officer screams at the fleeing crowd that he will hold the line until reinforcements arrive if they can even make it in time. Behind him, a vanguard squad of 10 elite fighters is locked in a brutal, blood-soaked struggle against the beasts. In the middle of the chaos, a young, fragile boy freezes in terror as a monster lunges straight for his throat. The captain screams for him to dodge, but the kid is paralyzed. Without a second thought, the officer throws himself into the line of fire. Steel bites into flesh, and hot, steaming blood splatters across the boy's face as the officer takes the hit to save him. The captain kicks him down, roaring that there is no time to adapt. This is a battlefield, not a place to stand around dazed. A soldier looks on in confusion, telling the captain that this kid isn't even a martial artist yet. Why was he even sent here? The officer loses it. He can't believe the military sent a normal human on a suicide mission meant only for official martial artists. Why send someone who isn't a martial artist? Do they want him to die? The officer's shouting explodes in his ears like a wave of anger. The boy finally snaps out of it, apologizing and promising he won't be a burden to the squad while he stands back up. But the only response is an icy glare. He doesn't care if Michael is a martial artist. Once you enter here, you're a member of the army. He tells him, we protect others, we don't get protected. Pay attention here, because this is where the main character's heart truly begins to harden. Lily stares blankly at this scene. That boy's figure is hauntingly familiar. It's Michael, back when he first enlisted, long before he became this cold. Back then, he still looked so young and immature, but seeing the reality of this cruel battlefield, it is far worse than anything she ever imagined. Every second here is a dance with death, especially for a kid who didn't even have his powers yet. Lily can't fathom how he survived that hell. Now she understands why he changed so much. It was her fault for sending him there. With her own hands, she pushed her son into a death trap. Outside, the sky is gloomy and a persistent drizzle falls over the city ruins. Streets are filled with overturned cars and piles of corpses, with the stench of rot and blood hanging heavy in the air. An officer screams into the void, asking if the vanguard squad is all dead. Only the rain and alien roars answer him. A lone soldier reports the grim news: the entire squad has likely been wiped out in the carnage of the fallen city. The rest were just recruits. You see that too, right? This city was lost, and so was every bit of Michael's innocence on that rainy day. The city becomes monster territory. After an unknown amount of time, from a mountain of piled corpses, a single, filthy, bloody hand reaches out. Michael crawls from the pile, his clothes in rags, his body covered in deep wounds and his face pale from losing so much blood. He smiles a bitter, hollow smile. He's not dead. Somehow, the heavens still want him to suffer through this nightmare for a bit longer. Surrounded by lurking monsters and starving to death, he wanders through the ruined base, praying he doesn't become prey while he hides. He's rummaging through piles of trash and corpses, muttering to himself that if he doesn't find food soon, he is truly finished. Finally, he finds half a bottle of nutrient fluid. He doesn't even care about the dirt, he just gulps it down like it's liquid gold. Lily watches this, her heart shattered. It reminds her of the first time she found him living in the slums. She promised to make up for those years of suffering, but instead, she gave him a life in the May family that was even worse. During his 3 years at war, she never reached out once. Lily covers her mouth, too afraid to see what happens next. This is his spiritual world, a reflection of his darkest memories. She's terrified that if they meet here, his hatred will be too much. If that hate is magnified, there is no escape. In this moment, Lily feels like all the strength has been drained from her. Slumped on the ground, she finally realizes how deep his wounds are. Those 3 years of blood and sweat were worth more than she acknowledged. A lifetime of pain can't be erased by an apology. Suddenly, a flash of saber light tears through the memory like a bolt of lightning. Before he can react, a blade slices the boy in half at the waist, shattering the glass vial as his youthful face fills with shock. No! Lily screams in agony, reaching out for her son, but she only sees a cold, hardened figure stepping forward through the smoke. It's Michael. He is no longer that immature boy, but a resolute warrior. She calls his name softly, but he doesn't even stop for her. She tries to grab him, to hold on to something, but there is nothing there. She can only watch him disappear into the darkness. Back in the real world on the helicopter, Lily is a ghost of herself. She saw the truth, and she knows she owes him everything. The soldiers notice her terrible state as if she has suffered a massive, soul-crushing blow, and they quickly rush her back, terrified that something might happen. Soon, Michael leaps out of the catacomb. He saw her in that spiritual world too, but to him, she's already just another stranger. He severed every tie to the May family the moment he returned. Their history is gone, and he has absolutely no intention of looking back. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what Michael does to them next. Stick with me, you are about to see a disgraced heir reveal his true, godlike power. Lily frantically checks Michael for injuries while Cameron watches, his mind racing with confusion. Michael looks like he just walked through hell and survived, leaving everyone stunned. Cameron cannot wrap his head around it. Who exactly is this man, and what is he hiding? Being called chief by a literal major general? Escaping a high-level catacomb solo? Just how much power is Michael May actually packing? He only knows Michael as his sister's future husband. Thinking of this connection, Cameron cannot help but flash a smug, satisfied grin. His brother-in-law is the chief. Michael ignores Cameron's foolish grin, warning Chloe that the catacombs are still infested with lethal great-grandmaster beasts. Stay alert. The gravity of the situation hits home. Cameron snaps out of it, saluting the chief with newfound, absolute respect and a serious face. Once the catacomb finally stabilizes, Cameron is allowed to return home. It has been 2 long weeks of guarding the front lines. Cameron bursts into the family hall, trembling with excitement. "Father," he shouts, "you have no idea what that May family kid has become." Michael May is a chief in the military department, 3 years away, and he returns as a total powerhouse. Cameron downs his tea, his hands still trembling from the absolute shock of it all. "Samantha, your fiancé is at the top of the food chain." Samantha Stone just frowns, looking at her brother like he has finally lost his mind. A chief? Her father is just as skeptical. The May family literally kicked Michael out of the house just a few days ago. George personally heard Simon May disown him at the banquet. If Michael really held such a high military rank, no father in their right mind would ever let him go like that. Why would a man like Simon May dump a son who carries the rank of a chief? Cameron freezes. Michael was kicked out, but Simon said it publicly. If that is true, then the May family just made the biggest mistake in history. George sees the look on his son's face and knows something is deeply wrong. Explain everything. Right now. Watch this part closely. This is where the truth hits. Cameron confirms the major general from the capital called Michael chief. Even Madame May came looking for him. George stands up, his heart racing. He knows his son would never lie about this. If Cameron says it is real, then Michael is a god among men. Think about it. A chief recognized by the capital. Michael's identity is at the level of a general at the very least. There is no other explanation for this. A general this young. He is a one-of-a-kind genius. But the question remains, why would Simon May be foolish enough to cast such a legend aside for someone like Bradley? Cameron drops a final bombshell. He suspects Michael possesses a general's heart. A general's heart? George gasps, feeling the weight of that title. That is the same rank as Simon May. At this age, Michael is destined to become a marshal. He will eventually rule the entire military department in the very near future. Why choose Bradley over a literal future marshal? Both men are left scratching their heads in total confusion. Michael becoming chief is like giving a tiger wings. The May family should be celebrating their good fortune, not disowning him like trash. It makes zero sense to anyone. The mystery of Simon's ruthlessness haunts them. They cannot even imagine the cold-blooded schemes happening behind closed doors. George stops thinking and makes a choice. Regardless of Simon's insanity, the Stone family must stand firmly by Michael's side. If Michael is truly a chief, this is the luckiest day in Stone family history. Cameron is already imagining the power. He used to worry about his sister's future, but now they have officially hit the jackpot. The father and son share a hearty laugh. Their mood is at an all-time high. A general's heart for a son-in-law. Their family is about to soar to heights they never dreamed of. George pats his thigh, grinning at Samantha. "We have not seen him in years, but as your uncle, I must visit him tomorrow." "Okay, wait for it. Here is the moment everything crumbles." Samantha quietly admits she canceled the engagement just a few days ago. The room goes stone-cold silent. George and Cameron stare at her, their faces twisting in pure, unadulterated horror. "You did what?" George roars. "Who gave you the permission to go and insult the May family like that?" Forget Michael's rank, the May family are top-tier martial artists. Simon is the commander-in-chief. This is a massive slap to their entire legacy. Samantha stammers that she saw him get kicked out by his own father. She honestly thought he was a nobody, with no future and no family left to protect him. She even cleared it with Simon first. How could she be so blind? She never expected the weakling from 3 years ago to become a military god. George is absolutely fuming. Disowned or not, he is still Simon May's biological son. He is a chief now. Do you even understand the sheer weight of a general's heart at his age? It means everything in our world. You will not find another person like him in the entire military department. George paces like a caged animal, his voice dripping with rage. Michael is a future marshal. Breaking those ties was absolute suicide for our family's future and our entire legacy. With his godlike talent, he is destined for greatness. He is already a general's heart, and you just threw that away for absolutely nothing but your own pride. Who would dare work with us now? If Michael holds a grudge, the Stone family is finished. We will never survive his wrath if he decides to retaliate against our absolute stupidity and lack of vision. You and I just saw a family ruin their own future. Samantha literally buried the Stone family alive. Samantha remains stubborn, raising her head. Is a simple cancelled engagement really that serious? You idiot, George screams. Your own brother works in that same military department. All right, you and I are about to watch a family's golden future turn into total ash. He was our pride, a martial arts genius destined for greatness. But thanks to your brainless actions, the Stone family's future and your brother's career are dead. He exhaled a heavy sigh, his heart overflowing with bitterness as the bright new era he imagined for his clan turned into a complete impossibility. Go apologize to him this instant. I am not demanding you fix the marriage, but you must ensure Michael May does not hold a grudge, or I will disown you." George Stone clearly understood the weight of Michael's true identity, feeling his chest tighten until he almost spat out blood. Samantha Stone could only stare blankly at her father, frozen by his unprecedented rage and the terrifying threat of being cast out. She walked out of the estate in a numbed daze, still feeling like she was trapped in a nightmare, wondering if Michael really held such high military power. Now, pay attention here, because while Samantha is drowning in regret, the drama inside the May family home is reaching a breaking point you need to see. Lily was completely haggard, consumed by guilt after seeing the truth within Michael's spiritual world. When Simon May finally returned from the military department, he frowned at the sight of his silent, broken wife sitting alone on the sofa. Lily looked at him with cold eyes and asked if he truly only ever saw Michael as a mere pawn to clear a path for Bradley. Simon May just frowned and claimed both were his sons while trying to justify the theft of Michael's hard-earned military merits. He dismissed Michael as a rebellious brat whose ego grew too large after a few years of service, but Lily was no longer buying his lies. She looked at her husband and felt like he was a total stranger, realizing with horror that she had become one too by agreeing to steal Michael's glory. The scenes from Michael's memories were etched into her brain, making it impossible for her to ever forget the pain they caused. Simon snorted, calling her too emotional and demanding to know if that rebellious son ever even considered them to be his real family. He ranted that the boy was ungrateful for severing ties over a few years of merits, especially since he dared to raise a hand against his own siblings. Simon sneered inwardly, convinced that Michael's small amount of military status gave the boy no right to act so disrespectfully toward his own father. "You and I both know the truth, but Simon has no idea he's insulting a legendary one-star general. He's the commander of the Northbrook army, a man with military merits piled as high as mountains, far beyond anything Simon can imagine." Lily watched him with complex emotions, wanting to scream and ask if he ever once cared for Michael's well-being over the last 3 years. But she remained silent, realizing that she had failed her own responsibilities as a mother and had no right to cast blame on anyone else. Meanwhile, Michael returned to the Turner family after securing a massive harvest from his dangerous journey into the deep catacombs. He secured the True Dragon liquid and a legendary martial art, officially reaching the powerful half-step True Dragon realm. With enough of that liquid, reaching the full True Dragon realm was now nothing more than a simple matter of time. Back in her room, Chloe Reed was stunned to learn that Diana's future husband was actually the son of General May. She was prepared to object to the marriage to protect her star student, Diana, but the name of the prospective husband made her heart stop in its tracks. The man turned out to be none other than Michael May, a high-ranking general, the celebrated hero of the Eastern Zone, and the future of martial arts. She couldn't fathom how Arthur Turner managed to convince such a legendary figure to agree to this marriage. Diana Turner nodded doubtfully and asked her teacher if she disapproved, but Chloe could only shake her head in pure excitement. She raised both hands in total approval, struggling to believe that her student was the one actually benefiting from such a powerful and prestigious arrangement. Diana Turner sat in deep thought, while Michael was immediately summoned by the elderly Arthur Turner for a very serious conversation. Arthur was over 90 years old, a martial arts grandmaster who worried deeply about Diana's future after his own children had failed. He valued Michael's immense strength and high status as the best possible protection for Diana, ensuring she would never be alone once he passed away. Through their recent interactions, he saw that Michael was a man of exceptional character and skill in all aspects of life. However, the old man refused to force the issue and planned to ask for Diana's honest opinion before making any permanent decisions. Diana had already agreed, but Michael was reluctant, originally thinking that a solo martial path would be more comfortable and free. Still, out of respect for Arthur's immense favor and kindness, Michael found it impossible to simply turn the old man down. Michael eventually arrived at Diana's room and stepped inside, only to be greeted by Chloe Reed and her very suggestive smile. Chloe quickly made an excuse to leave him alone, and a blushing Diana followed Michael out into the hallway in awkward silence. She occasionally stole glances at the man who stood nearly half a head taller than her. She knew very little about his true identity, only hearing from her grandfather that he was a powerful young general who seemed to be her own age. Once they reached the living room, Michael stopped and turned to her, wanting to be completely clear about the situation they were in. He told her that this was all Arthur's idea, and if she found it uncomfortable, she should speak up because the old man would never force her. So what do you and I think? Is this the start of a legendary power couple or just another total disaster? Alright, let's dive into the moment everything flipped. Diana Turner says she'll give it a shot. I was stunned, this was totally unexpected. Truthfully, when Arthur Turner suggested this, I never thought she'd agree. A girl this beautiful paired with a man who slaughters on battlefields, it felt like a terrible match. Once I found my voice, I looked at her with pure doubt. What did you just say? Diana faced me directly. Her face lit up with a smile. She repeated, I think I can give it a try. Now I'm the one speechless. Is the script broken? Shouldn't she be fighting this? I told her to think carefully. Once my work here is done, I'm heading straight back to the military department. I have no idea when we'll see each other again, but Diana didn't care. She just smiled and said she'd be joining the military soon too. She said we'd cross paths eventually. I fell silent, but trust me, I'm not the type to lose my words just because a girl is pretty. Since she was all in, refusing now would just be awkward. I nodded and said, okay. Meanwhile, Samantha Stone watched us, looking completely torn. Her father told her to apologize, but now that she's here, she can't even move. The words just won't come out of her mouth. Seeing us laughing together made her smile bitterly. Back in Northbrook, she was the ultimate beauty with suitors lined up for miles. But next to Diana Turner, she's totally overshadowed. Diana is a combat genius, a literal goddess in everyone's eyes since middle school. Her insane talent made everyone admire her from afar, but nobody was brave enough to actually ask her out or confess. Samantha just stood there, completely unable to move. Was it pride, or was it something much deeper? Stick with me, watch as she finally turns around and walks away in silence. It finally hit her how ridiculous she'd been. She used to think Arthur was insane for marrying a genius to someone kicked out of their house. Now she realizes Arthur wasn't the crazy one. It turns out I was a chief in the military department. Samantha went home looking like a ghost. Her father, George Stone, jumped off the sofa the second he saw her looking so lost. Did Michael forgive you? Even her brother, Cameron, was on edge. He wasn't worried about himself. He was terrified for the Stone family's future. Samantha just shook her head, saying she didn't know what to say. George exploded, all because of your pathetic, cheap pride. She just bit her lip and stayed quiet while he yelled. George was absolutely losing it, his anger completely boiling over. He screamed that her pride was a gift from the Stone family, but now she had ruined their entire future. Do you really want me, with my old face, to go and personally beg for their mercy? Cameron saw his father shaking with rage and his sister falling apart. He stepped in, telling his father to let her breathe and calm down. His heart was a mess. This was supposed to be a celebration. How did everything go so wrong, so fast for them? They had to fix this. Samantha stood in the courtyard, feeling completely numb. Was it really just pride? Not exactly. Seeing me with Diana made her feel like a total clown. It wasn't pride, it was a massive inferiority complex hitting her all at once. It's been a month since I returned. The catacomb situation has stabilized, so the public's focus has shifted elsewhere for now. Now, let's pivot to today, because the entire city of Northbrook is buzzing. It's time for the 12th grade martial arts exam, the one day that changes everything for every single student. Getting into a top university means a legendary future. You get provincial rewards, and your parents get to share in all the glory. It's the ultimate way to honor your family. Back at the Turner estate, I put down my phone, feeling completely calm. Early this morning, something major came through. I received a message from General Harrison. He wants me to scout the best martial arts talent to join the Eastern War Zone training camp. Northbrook has over 1,000 different schools. The numbers are huge, but it's an easy job for me. I just need the official list of geniuses from the provincial governor's mansion. The exams are still going, so there's no rush. I'll just wait a few days for all the results to settle. Meanwhile, at the military headquarters in the capital, the heavy hitters are gathered. The old man at the head has some very important news. Border warfare is heating up. The General's Heart competition is being moved up by months, and every war zone has been officially notified. It starts in half a month. What do you all think? Everyone just nodded in silence. Time to get the news out to everyone. This is huge. The best fighters from every zone are coming, including the elite disciples from the legendary Marshall Saint families. The military department needs to make sure every single detail is prepared thoroughly for this massive event. The old man suddenly asked about Bradley May. Someone smiled, saying the marshal still keeps tabs on that 22-year-old who was just at the front lines. He chuckled, clearly expecting big things. Word is he's back in Northbrook and hasn't returned to the Eastern Zone yet. This next competition is going to be brutal. A lot of high-level Marshall Saint disciples are itching to compete for the title. The old man silenced the room. Let the Saints handle their own business. Just get everyone back to the capital immediately. Over at the May family home, things were chaotic. It's Bradley's exam day, and the whole family is in high gear preparing. Bradley May is taking the big test today. Simon May has finally dropped his gloomy mood and is all smiles. He's certain Bradley will make it into Holy Marshal. If he performs like usual, he'll be the top scorer in the province. Simon personally escorted Bradley. Trust me, you and I will see if he's really that good. Alright, you and I are about to see a father so toxic, it will make your skin crawl. News just hit the military office. The capital demands Bradley May's immediate return. There is an urgent mission waiting. Simon May is baffled. Is this from the Eastern Zone? No. The messenger confirms it is a direct, high-level order from the capital. Simon frowns, completely lost. Why now? Why did the capital suddenly issue this? He demands a reason, but the messenger has no specific details to offer him. Simon sends the man away and sits in silence. His expression shifts as his mind starts racing. Why is the Eastern Zone suddenly calling for Bradley May? Could the warfare be escalating? If they need every soldier, he thinks about swapping Michael and Bradley's identities again so Michael can serve in his brother's place. But there is a massive problem. Bradley is currently stuck taking his martial arts exams. This is a direct order from the capital and it cannot be ignored. Even with his rank, he cannot just bring Bradley back. Plus, if he openly moves his son to the backlines, how will the military and the public judge him? Simon does not even consider that this might be related to the general's heart competition. To him, a scenario like that is just completely impossible. He sits there with a shifting expression before finally standing up. He decides that Bradley May cannot be moved from his current position. The martial arts exam is the key to his future and the inheritance of Northbrook. Suddenly, his eyes light up. He has come up with a wicked plan. Meanwhile, over at the Turner family estate, Michael May is finally enjoying some peace after 3 long years of brutal, non-stop fighting. He has already secured a deal with the provincial governor for the list. Richard Lee is happy to help since getting people into training benefits him too. Now pay attention here with Michael's true identity. The governor could not say no. Suddenly, Arthur Turner's voice booms from the courtyard, shattering the quiet. He asks what wind blew the general here today. Michael opens his eyes, realizing his father has arrived, though likely not for a friendly visit. Michael figured that after their last fight, Simon would not have the face to show up, but then Simon's voice roars out, demanding to know where Michael is. Michael looks on with a strange expression. He actually came looking for me? Arthur Turner just chuckles, his voice dripping with pure sarcasm at the general. He mocks Simon, reminding him that just the other day, he claimed he did not have a son. Simon snorts, feeling the sting of the insult. He snaps back, claiming he does not need an outsider's permission to see his own son. Arthur finds the man's sudden change in attitude absolutely unbelievable. Simon's face is a mask of fury, his eyes flashing with lethal intent. He growls that he does not have any time to waste on bicker. He demands to know if his son is there. Arthur's smile vanishes as he answers plainly sorry, but Michael is not here right now. Simon's voice turns icy as his face darkens. He warns the old man that he is pushing too far and threatens to level the entire Turner estate. This was not a joke. As a peak great-grand master, flipping a building was as easy as turning over his hand for a man of his power. 6 streams of light erupt as he releases his terrifying aura. Michael pushes the door open, asking if this is his usual attitude when looking for someone. He did not want to meet Simon, but if he did not come out, the general would actually attack. Surprisingly, Simon pulls back his crushing power. Even his guards stand down, which is a total shock. Simon does not wait for an invite, he just marches inside the room and slumps down. Michael leans against the door, looking on coldly. He tells his father to talk fast because he does not believe this sudden change in behavior for a second. After everything that happened, he has seen the man's true colors. Simon's face twitches in annoyance as he tries to maintain his soft act. He suppresses his rage and sighs, claiming he knows he wronged Michael over the years and says he could never truly abandon his own son. You and I both know this guy has a hidden motive. Michael just stares at him, asking if he has been possessed by some kind of spirit. Simon wants to slap him, but he holds back. He reminds Michael that Bradley has elite talent and is destined to become a martial saint. He claims he did it all for the May family and the future of Northbrook. He asks why Michael cannot just understand his position as a father. Michael sneers, asking who the hell Simon thinks he is to demand understanding. The veins on Simon's forehead start to pop from the pure disrespect. He takes a deep breath to settle his surging energy. He asks Michael if he will not even give the family a single chance to make amends. Michael just waves him off, looking totally bored of the drama. Simon lowers his voice, telling him not to be so quick to refuse the offer. He offers the title of eldest young master, resources, and even the chairman's seat as long as Michael agrees to do one thing for him. The trap is finally revealed. Michael is calm, telling his father he has absolutely zero interest in his conditions or his corporate seats. It is impossible. He tells him to leave, but Simon hurriedly mentions the notice from the military department. They are calling for Michael to return immediately. It is a direct order from the capital. Michael smiles sarcastically, asking which name they actually called. Was it Bradley May or Michael May? Simon's tone turns arrogant again. Of course they called Bradley. That is why he is here, because the real Bradley is busy with his exams. He wants Michael to use Bradley's name and head back to the front lines first. Later, he promises to bring Bradley back to Northbrook. He claims Michael will be the eldest young master and get his mother's corporation back. He truly believes no one in Northbrook could refuse this deal. Michael just sighs inwardly. He realized he still underestimated just how shameless and heartless Simon May could really be to his own flesh and blood. Taking his brother's place to enlist was one thing, but now the man wants to swap their identities again just to steal more of his glory. He wants Michael to go back into the fire for Bradley's sake. Michael does not even blink at the rewards. Only a fool would believe Simon now. And trust me, you and I are cheering for what happens next. Michael looks him in the eye and asks what Bradley's problems have to do with him. All right, you and I are about to watch a father try to rob his own son of everything he has earned. Simon May's face turned frighteningly dark as he plotted the theft. He insisted that Bradley is only taking the exam and needs his older brother's help. To him, it is just common sense for a family to sacrifice for the golden child. He promised that once Bradley becomes a martial saint, he won't forget his brother. I just nodded, let him think I agreed, and then asked if he was done talking. Then I told him to get out. Simon's blood pressure hit the roof. If he weren't a high-ranking official, he probably would have tried to fight me right there on the spot. Northbrook is crawling with important figures right now. If Simon makes a scene here, he will be totally disgraced. All his schemes are finally falling apart like a house of cards. Furious and humiliated, he stormed out of the Turner house. By the time he reached the military headquarters, his expression was as black as the bottom of a charred pot. The entire department was waiting for good news, but my refusal to back down put him in a massive bind. One thing was certain: this was becoming a total disaster. Bradley absolutely could not return to the military now. A guard rushed in, looking panicked, and reported that the department was demanding an update immediately. General May was completely trapped. Simon rubbed his temples, waving the guard away with annoyance. He told them to wait 3 days for a decision. The guard just stood there, awkwardly scratching his head in confusion. The local zone is fine, but this is a direct order from the capital. If they push, Simon is in trouble, but he just stayed cold and arrogant through it all. He claimed Bradley was too busy with his exams to care. He didn't think a man like Michael May could actually do anything to stop his grand plans. Now pay attention, because the military department isn't letting this slide. At the Eastern headquarters, General Harrison's eyes widened in total disbelief. He could not believe Simon was being this arrogant. He confirmed Simon really said those words. Everyone was in shock. An order came straight from the capital to Northbrook, yet Simon had the nerve to ignore and even suppress it. General Harrison shook his head at such reckless bravery. He admitted he wouldn't have the guts. Simon is gambling everything just to let Bradley steal Michael's hard-earned military merits. He sighed, wondering if Simon realized the scale of the catastrophe he'd just invited. Simon May was walking straight into a buzzsaw, and he did not even realize it yet. A commander suggested notifying the general directly since he is representing the Eastern Zone in the upcoming competition. They needed to know if their top fighter was being sabotaged by his father. Harrison pondered before deciding to step in. If Simon won't follow the capital's orders, the general will handle it himself. This was about to get very ugly for Simon May. He smiled wickedly, knowing Simon's jaw was about to hit the floor. That afternoon, the governor's mansion in Northbrook was packed with luxury vehicles. The elite of the city had arrived. The martial arts exam was a brutal battlefield for students and schools alike. Every academy was desperate to find the next big genius before anyone else did. The provincial governor's mansion suddenly went dead silent. The atmosphere shifted into something heavy and stunned as the most important man in the city walked into the room. Inside the guest room, everyone froze in shock. Richard Lee was smiling brightly, bowing so low he was practically touching the floor just to welcome me into the private room. The admissions teachers could not believe their eyes. Richard Lee was the king of Northbrook, second only to Simon May. Yet here he was, acting like a servant to a young man. Even for Simon, the governor would not bow this low. Who was this kid? I just smiled and told him to drop the act and give me the list. Richard Lee beamed, his eyes nervous as I scanned the paper. He was clearly praying that I would select a large number of his students for my team. I pointed out a few names on the list with real potential. I told him I would speak to these talented students personally after the exam. Richard's face lit up with joy. He etched those names into his memory, nodding frantically. He promised to arrange everything immediately. Whatever I wanted, the governor was ready to provide it right now. I looked at the crowd and told them I wouldn't disturb their work. Richard Lee jumped up and personally escorted me all the way to the front door. You saw that too, right? The room exploded as soon as I left. Everyone was dying to know who this mysterious young master was and where he had come from. The wild guesses were endless. That display of respect was absolutely shocking. Richard Lee took a deep breath and looked them in the eye. He told them I wasn't some prince. I was the genius chief of the Eastern Zone from 3 years ago. The entire room fell silent. That legend had shocked the entire country before vanishing into thin air. Everyone thought he was dead. Nobody expected him to be standing right here in Northbrook today. People started shouting questions about my rank and my home. The shock on their faces was priceless as they realized who I really was. Richard did not hold back. He revealed that I am the son of Simon May, the High General of Northbrook itself. They muttered about a tiger father having a tiger son. They had heard the May family had another genius taking the exam. The teachers exchanged looks, their minds racing with the potential. A martial arts genius and a war hero. If they could recruit him, the capital would have a new legend. Everyone wanted a piece of me. Richard Lee saw their greedy expressions and dropped a bombshell. He told them that just a few days ago, Simon May had publicly kicked Michael May out of his house. The teachers were floored. Kicked out? Who in their right mind would throw away a general who was barely 20 years old? It made absolutely no sense to any of them. They wondered if Simon had lost his mind. At 20, even Simon was barely a rising star. They begged the governor to tell them the real story behind this family feud. They promised to keep it a secret. Richard Lee just sighed. He said it was not a secret, just the tragic reality of how the May family operates. He explained that things are tense because of Bradley. It is just a father choosing to support the wrong son. He told them to ask the military department if they wanted the full story. Soon, the news from the governor's mansion spread like wildfire through the city. Everyone was asking why Simon kicked out a hero like Michael. They were confused about Bradley taking the exam while his brother was already a decorated general in the field. Those who knew the truth realized the person at the mansion was the same military genius from years ago. Michael May was back, and he was making waves that the entire city could not ignore. This was getting intense. The martial arts exam lasted 2 full days. Afterward, everyone waited with bated breath for the final results to finally be announced to the public. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, stick with me because we're diving into a world where only the absolute strongest martial arts geniuses from Spirit Vale High get a shot at the top. The elite list from the Martial Arts Alliance was finally announced, and Bradley May was right there, but as a general's son, he didn't care about ordinary dojos. His only goal was the National Military Training Camp, the ultimate gathering place for the country's greatest geniuses and the best training opportunity available. Back in the office, the teacher adjusted his glasses while calling out the dojo recruits before picking up the high-stakes list for that military training camp. As every name was read aloud, Bradley's smug confidence slowly crumbled into pure disbelief because his name was nowhere to be found on that paper. He froze and demanded to know why he was left out, especially since his scores were high enough to easily secure a spot in the camp. The teacher didn't have any answers either, explaining that the list came from the provincial governor's mansion and telling the chosen students to report there immediately for evaluation. As the chosen ones left, Bradley walked out of the school in total silence, his fists clenched tight with a burning rage and deep resentment. He couldn't stand the mocking whispers of his classmates who were loving the fact that the arrogant golden boy finally failed to qualify. Praised as a genius since birth, his pride was massive. He couldn't understand why these other nobodies were chosen for the camp over him. Inside a massive room at the governor's mansion, the main character stood before the recruits, acknowledging that their martial arts talent actually wasn't half bad. He told them that if they didn't mess up the final exam, they were all headed straight for the elite military training camp. He just smiled meaningfully and revealed the prizes: 1 million in cash, a grandmaster skill, and a powerful realming pill for the winner. The students were stunned because a grandmaster skill is worth billions, and a level 7 realm-breaking pill can easily cost over $10 million on the network. Their eyes practically caught fire hearing that, but the main character knew the hype was about to die down real fast once they heard the catch. Trust me, this is where it gets dark. He announced that in this camp, there are no rules and you might actually be beaten to death by your rivals. The fiery students felt like a bucket of cold water was poured on them. Joining this camp could literally cost them their lives, and that price was just too high. He gave them one last chance to walk away, making it clear that this wasn't some safe school, it was a brutal battlefield for real warriors. This training was designed to forge soldiers for war, not flowers in a greenhouse, and the harsh reality of that cruelty started sinking in for everyone. Someone immediately shouted that they were out, choosing a safe dojo over these deadly rewards, and the main character made it clear he wouldn't repeat the offer. He warned them that quitting now was fine, but deserting once they were officially selected would mean being treated as a criminal for the rest of their lives. Out of 10 elites, only 2 remained, a guy and a girl, and he told them to go home and wait for the final orders to arrive. They saluted and left, but just then, Bradley May stormed into the room, his voice dripping with absolute fury as he confronted the main character. The main character turned around and mocked him, saying he was surprised Bradley had recovered so fast from their last encounter and the slap he received. Bradley's face turned green as he remembered being slapped away, and he shouted that this was all just a corrupt plan for private revenge against his family. He yelled it out loud, trying to make the other students think he was being unfairly cheated out of his rightful spot by a corrupt official. But the main character didn't blink, telling Bradley that his so-called talent wasn't worth a single penny in a real fight to the death. He stepped forward and patted Bradley's shoulder without holding back, while the boy could only glare with eyes full of cold and desperate anger. Bradley pointed at the others and demanded an explanation for why these average students were selected instead of a high-tier genius like himself. You saw that coming, right? The main character simply said Bradley was an eyesore, leaving the boy completely frozen in shock at the blatant disrespect. Bradley couldn't believe the arrogance, realizing that even mentioning the military department didn't scare this man one bit, and honestly, what could he even do? He was shaking so hard he almost spit blood, while the other students secretly enjoyed seeing the bully finally get humbled in front of everyone. Bradley took a deep breath and tried to stay calm, telling himself that losing the camp wasn't the end of his path to absolute power. He was still a major in the demon army, and he swore this matter wasn't over until he saw the main character crushed into the dirt. Back at home, he told his father, Simon May, that the commander of the Northbrook army was abusing his office just to settle a personal grudge. Simon's cold face stayed like stone, but in his heart, he had already passed a silent death sentence on the man who insulted his son. He promised to handle it, planning to transfer Bradley's registration back to Northbrook and strip the main character of every bit of power he held. Simon was playing the long game, waiting for the official martial arts results before using military law to hunt down and punish the main character. He wasn't being merciful, he just didn't want to risk destroying Bradley's future or his reputation before the final exams were officially over and settled. For the past few days, the general had been running around to finalize the transfer of his son's military registration back to his own territory. Even for a general like him, this should have been easy, but the paperwork from the Eastern Zone was being mysteriously delayed, forcing him to wait. Simon sat on his sofa, looking at the newspaper with a growing sense of doubt that something in the shadows was going very wrong. He wondered why the recruiters from Holy Martial Academy hadn't arrived yet, but his assistant, Lily, simply replied that the situation was still unclear. He tried to brush it off, knowing Bradley's talent was top tier and that getting into the elite academy should have been a total certainty. And trust me, you and I are not ready for these results. Alright, stick with me because you're about to see how a father's pride leads to a total meltdown. Simon stares at the results. Third place. Only third. Bradley May, his golden boy, failed to take the top spot in the martial arts exam. This wasn't the plan at all. Bradley sees his father's face and immediately bows his head. Father, I failed you. I didn't perform well during the test. I am truly sorry. He blames his old injuries, even though the corporation's medicine already fully healed his body days ago. He is just looking for a way out. It is a desperate excuse to save face. He can't accept losing. Simon's eyes flash with anger, but surprisingly, he doesn't openly blame his son yet. It is fine, Simon says. The martial arts era is full of dark horses. Last-minute breakthroughs happen to anyone. Do not beat yourself up. He acts like a comforting father, but deep down he is fuming. He is looking for someone to blame for this humiliating failure. Now watch this. Simon is shifting the blame to the one person who actually deserves better. He hates Michael May to his very core. He narrows his eyes, his expression becoming unreadable and dangerous. You can tell he's already planning his next move against his own family. Then, the admission list for the 10 great holy academies drops and shocks the entire city. Bradley's name is nowhere to be found. Simon is livid. Bradley is stunned. How is this possible, father? Even without the top spot, my scores were clearly more than enough for admission into Holy Martial. Those scores make entry a certainty, Simon growls, taking a deep breath. They must have missed your name. I'm going to fix this right now. Over at the governor's mansion, teachers are debating. Should we admit Bradley or not? One official tells them to just stay quiet and observe. The May family's situation is a toxic mess. If they make a wrong move, they might anger the real military power behind the scenes here. They are terrified that admitting Bradley will make a certain military figure unhappy. How would they even begin to explain that massive mistake? But skipping him breaks every rule since his scores are elite. The teachers are caught in a massive headache, stuck between a rock and a hard place. For once, they aren't fighting over a recruit. They are united in fear. Suddenly, a deafening crash echoes as the mansion doors are blown open. A massive man in full military uniform strides in with a terrifying aura. The teachers' faces turn pale with pure bitterness as they watch him. Simon May crosses the threshold, his cold gaze scanning the entire room. Do you truly think the May family is this easy to bully? The air turns to ice around them. This general is out for blood. My son has the points. Why isn't his name on that list? A teacher tries to stay calm. General, please, it is complicated. But Simon's killing intent only grows stronger by the second as he waits. You saw this coming, right? The lies are finally catching up. The teacher whispers that Bradley's identity is a mess because of the military merits. There is a category on his scorecard for 3 years of service in the Eastern Zone. That's a massive boost for any student's overall rank. But rumors are flying that a guy named Michael May was actually the one who served in the Eastern Zone for those 3 years. Are these military merit points even valid? The teacher asks. Simon loses it completely. Who the hell is Michael May? Just a stray wolf. I kicked that ungrateful wolf out of my house. My biological son Bradley is the one who served. Could I possibly mistake my own blood? He screams at the officials, calling them old fools for not investigating properly. His rage is literally shaking the entire room with pure force. The teacher panics. We believe you, General, but Holy Marshal has to verify the fraud status before we can officially release the final admission result. This exam is a massive deal. If there is fraud, they cannot bear the responsibility. Simon is fuming, realizing he cannot bully them into silence. Fine, investigate everything, he challenges. Give my family an explanation, or do not blame me for not showing any face when this is over. He knows the academy is already suspicious. His outburst today was just a show, but the real battle for the truth is only just beginning. He isn't worried yet. He is confident he can scrub the military records to keep Bradley's name on them before the official probe even starts. Simon leaves the provincial governor's mansion, his face green with fury. He couldn't attack them there, but this matter is far from over yet. Lately, Simon finally realized that Michael never saw them as family. Every move Michael makes is a direct strike against the May family pride. In his mind, Michael ruined everything, hurt Vivien, messed up Bradley's exam, and almost cost them the spot at the Holy Martial Academy. Sitting in his car, Simon's eyes burn with killing intent. He doesn't realize that Michael is already moving on to much bigger and better things. Everything in Northbrook is finished. Michael gets word that the general's heart competition is about to start soon at the Turner family estate. Michael smiles at Old Master Arthur Turner. "I have troubled you enough these past few days. My business here is done. It is time." Arthur nods. "The capital is hosting the general's heart competition soon. Someone of your age and talent definitely deserves a spot in that race." He suggests that Michael travel with Diana, since she is heading back to the academy anyway. It is a perfect setup for their long journey. Michael doesn't mind the company. They plan to leave tomorrow night. Meanwhile, 100 miles away at Spirit Vale, things are getting very dark. The catacomb is crawling with the demon-quelling army. They have surrounded the central mountain range to keep the alien beasts at bay. Soldiers are clearing out the monsters, but the catacomb remains deadly. Since it is so close to civilians, they have to be extremely thorough. Deep on the 7th floor, a squad member suddenly yells out, "Captain, we have got massive movement coming from the levels right below us. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what is coming next." The captain signals for silence. The nightmare begins now. You and I are about to witness a nightmare. At the catacomb entrance, a soldier's voice trembles as he realizes there is not a single soul left alive down there. It feels like thousands of invisible eyes are staring back. Before the captain can react, a bone-chilling roar from an alien beast echoes from the dark depths. The earth shakes as if something massive is about to burst out. The captain's face pales, screaming for a retreat because a powerful blood chi is closing in fast. In an instant, a beast lunges out and swallows them whole. High above, helicopters circle the chaos while the demon-quelling soldiers listen to the horrific screams over their radios. Desperate calls go out to the squads below, trying to figure out what happened. They shout through the comms again and again, but only static and silence answer back. A heavy, gloomy dread settles over the mountain range. The helicopter lights dim, and a suffocating sense of unease begins to spread through the freezing night air. Someone yells to alert the military immediately. Outside the camp, Cameron Stone looks grave as he asks a martial artist if anyone could have possibly survived the attack. The martial artist opens his eyes, looking dead serious. There are zero signs of life left. Every squad that went inside is likely doomed to a gruesome end. Cameron Stone turns pale with pure fury. This was impossible. They thought they knew the power level of these beasts, so how could there be a surprise this big? Stick with me here, because this is where the disaster truly begins. A spatial rift has opened, and even stronger alien beasts are starting to crawl through the gap. Cameron paces back and forth, realizing the horrible truth. They haven't given up on this catacomb yet. They're using that rift to bring in a full-scale invasion. If they succeed, they'll flood the world with monsters. If Cameron is right, Northbrook is on the verge of falling, and this massive attack is just the beginning. Cameron doesn't waste a second, ordering an immediate report to General May. Late that night, Simon May is shocked awake by a phone call that changes everything. His eyes snap open with resolve. He heads for the military department as the first light of dawn begins to break over the mountain horizon. All of Spirit Vale is gripped by a heavy atmosphere as the news breaks. Radios and televisions everywhere broadcast the terrifying truth: the catacomb erupted just 100 miles away. Beasts are pouring out of the spatial rift like a flood. While residents panic, Simon May slams his hand onto the meeting room table in a fit of rage. He demands a status update. Who claimed this area was stabilized last night? He has to go and see the devastation for himself. The situation is a total disaster. Hundreds of great Grandmaster-level beasts are climbing to the upper floors, and a full-scale eruption is now only inches away. This area was rated as exceeding triple S rank. It's incredibly dangerous. Everyone admits they were far too complacent, and now they're paying the ultimate price. Nobody expected a spatial rift to still be active down there. A man with glasses speaks up, warning that the sheer number of high-level beasts makes the situation look grim. If they erupt now, the forces in Spirit Vale won't be enough to hold them back. The room falls into a heavy, suffocating silence as the reality sinks in. The number of alien beasts has reached a terrifying level, poised to strike at any moment. If the demon-quelling army fails to suppress them, the consequences will be catastrophic. One commander asks if they can bring in reinforcements from other areas, but the idea is shot down immediately. Every single unit is already stretched too thin. The army in Northbrook is evenly distributed, and every sector has its own mission. If they leave their posts to help here, who will be left to defend their home? After a long silence, Simon orders 3 regiments from other departments to mobilize, while keeping all other defense forces strictly untouched. He's concentrating every ounce of military strength in Spirit Vale on that one catacomb. They have to clear the beasts and seal that rift before the final eruption happens. The order is set, and the soldiers move out without hesitation. The vast power of Northbrook is mobilizing, and the entire city is wrapped in a heavy, solemn atmosphere. I saw the danger coming to Northbrook too. Watching the news reports on my screen, my face remained totally calm even as the world around me started to burn. I knew this catacomb better than anyone, but I never expected it to stay unresolved for this long. Simon May was too busy training Bradley to care about Northbrook's safety. Now watch closely, because you and I are seeing my journey take a massive turn. Simon May is the commander-in-chief. He should be able to handle a single catacomb on his own. Besides, I'm just too lazy to look at his face. After saying my goodbyes to the Turners, I finally set off for the capital. But just 1 hour later, the catacomb completely loses control and erupts with terrifying force. Beasts pour out like a pack of starving wild dogs, frantically tearing into the army's defense lines. The sheer speed of the attack catches absolutely everyone off guard. The army scrambles to throw their divisions into the meat grinder. Simon May can't just sit in his office anymore, so he heads straight to the front lines himself. This eruption has drawn eyes from everywhere. Outside the camp, Cameron Stone's voice rings out the provincial governor has finally arrived on site. Simon rubs his forehead, exhausted. Between the martial arts exam drama and this sudden eruption he cannot immediately suppress, he is dealing with the biggest headache of his career. Richard Lee walks in and scans the defense line with a critical eye. He looks at Simon and demands the truth. He needs to know how bad it really is. If things aren't looking good, he'll report it and start evacuating the citizens immediately. As the governor, he can't let thousands of innocent people die. Richard Lee doesn't command the army directly, but when it comes to the survival of Spirit Vale, he has every right to know if their lives are in danger. Simon's voice is deep and full of dread. He tells the governor to start the evacuation because his main divisions haven't arrived and the catacomb erupted too fast. Richard Lee nods, looking at the ragged general. Simon looks like he wants to say something more, but he stops himself, simply letting out a tired, frustrated sigh. Simon asks if there's anything else, but Richard just shakes his head and leaves. Watching him go, Simon mutters to himself, wondering what's actually happening here. The crimson sky over Spirit Vale is thick with absolute despair. From the depths, an apocalyptic tide of monsters surges forward, threatening to drown the entire demon-quelling army. At the front line, Simon May swings his massive broadsword with everything he's got. His peak Great Grandmaster aura is pushed to its absolute limit in this fight. But when a true dragon-level beast emerges, all hope vanishes. Trust me, you and I are watching the end of an era as the army falls to its knees. Alright, you and I are jumping straight into the end. Simon prepares a suicide strike, wondering if the legendary god of slaughter, Michael, could have stopped this nightmare. He closes his eyes, ready for the end. But suddenly, the air freezes and a massive pillar of fire, lightning, and frost shatters the sky, crashing down like a divine judgment. Boom! The massive true dragon beast is sent flying backward. A figure floats through the red clouds, black coat fluttering. Simon's eyes go wide. It is Michael. He can't believe the man he abandoned is actually here. Michael doesn't even look at him. His immortal cells surge with power as he pours every ounce of dragon energy into his alloy battle saber. Now, watch this. With one devastating swing, he unleashes the World Cleaver, a crescent of pure, unadulterated destruction. The strike slices the dragon clean in half, turning it to ash while collapsing the spatial rift deep within the catacombs. Just like that, it is over. Total silence. The remaining monsters flee in terror. One single strike just saved millions of lives from a certain doom. He calmly sheathes his blade and turns to Simon. No anger, no hate, just the cold, empty stare you would give a total stranger on the street. Simon's ego shatters instantly. In this moment, you and I can see the truth hitting him. He didn't just throw away his son. He discarded a god. Simon falls to his knees, weeping in the dirt and reaching out a trembling hand, begging Michael to please come back home. General May, Michael interrupts, his voice ice cold. I saved this city because of my uniform and duty, not because of your bloodline. The debt is paid. We are done. Without a second glance, Michael blasts into the sky like a comet, leaving Simon wailing in the mud and blood. High above the clouds, he lands effortlessly back inside his military jet, leaving his past behind for good. Chloe and Diana stare in absolute awe. It is done, he says simply, taking his seat as they head toward the capital. As the jet screams through the sky, he looks out the window. The May family is nothing but a speck of dust now. The grand competition, scheming families, and a true alien threat are all waiting for him at his next stop. Trust me, when the god of slaughter reaches the capital, he is going to show zero mercy.